One of those small market teams. Early on, they were a surprise in the baseball season, and then they hung in there until a month ago. The wheels fell off. They say they've been flat lately. Of course, all losing teams look that way. You wonder whether they'll rise up to try and get a trade. He'll pitch only 5 games, then not be eligible for the postseason. He'll never pitch in New York even.
He never will. A lot of guys just say, have a good year. I said, Rick, have a good week. That's the best he can do. But with that sidearm delivery, even at 41 years of age, you see the numbers this year, and left-handers have not solved him, and that's obviously why Gene Michael has brought him in for these important 5 games, because the Brewers have a lot of left-hand hitters, and then when they go to Toronto, you'll have John Olerud and switch Roberto Alomar out, so he can get a couple of outs and be very valuable.
However, the most important pitcher for the Yankees at the moment is Sterling Hitchcock, who fills in for the now injured Jack McDowell.
No question, and Sterling Hitchcock taking the mound tonight. If you could crawl inside of his shoes and his mind and say you don't have to pitch the way you did against Toronto when he only walked 1, struck out 3, pitched a complete game. But if he just gives the Yankees another solid start, 7 innings, 2-3 runs with their hitters and Milwaukee's pitching staff, he's got to say, I've done my job. That should be enough to win the game.
So it's the Yankees and the Milwaukee Brewers, the first of a 2-game series. The team's still waiting for Bernie Williams' arrival from San Juan, Puerto Rico. He missed his first plane and had to alter his plans. Yankees baseball coming up on MSG in a moment.
I can't stand it. I'm seeing it everywhere.
Oh, it's not here, Harry. Nothing's here. Get a grip.
My Sony DSS. The picture was awesome. The sound, better than anything I've ever heard. It was just like being there. And where's my remote? I can't find it. I need my remote. If I had one wish, just one, I wish we had my Sony digital satellite system here right now. Now this is living. We have NFL football, NBA basketball, and everything we ever wanted.
I wish our wives could see us now.
No!
No wonder you didn't call. There's our Sony DSS. The kids went crazy when it disappeared. And we're not going to watch football. We want to watch movies, music, news, travel. You have one more wish.
The Sony digital satellite system at Nobody Beats the Wiz. Everything you've ever wished for in home entertainment.
Back at County Stadium in Milwaukee, Scott Carl taking his warm-up pitches, his 24th appearance of the year. He's been on a bit of a losing streak, Jim.
Yeah, Scott Carl, although when you look at those numbers, they can be a little deceptive, and the Yankees have found that out, Al, with some of the pitchers they've faced lately. His last 9 starts, the Brewers are 4-2, his ERA in the mid-3s, so he has made some improvement coming along, as you pointed out. 16 starts as a rookie. There's the starting lineup he's going to face, brought to you by 7-Eleven. Wade Boggs will lead off, and Randy Velarde, Paul O'Neill, Ruben Sierra in the cleanup spot. Mike Stanley, Don Mattingly, Gerald Williams. Al told you about Bernie missing. And Derek Jeter, the rookie, will play short tonight. Pat Kelly hits 9th. Quick look at the Brewers in the field, brought to you by 9X. Darrell Hamilton in center, Matt Mieske in right. The infield of Seitzer, Listash, Cirillo, and Jaha. Rookie Mike Matheny behind the plate, and there's a valuable man having a good year. B.J. Surhoff doing it with the bat, and he can play first, third, catch. Tonight he's in left field.
He and Kevin Seitzer, the best Brewers by far. Wade Boggs, 1 ball and 1 strike to Scott Carl. Boggs coming in hitting .327, 5 home runs, 63 RBIs. Talking these days like he wants to come back with the Yankees because it's been his dream since he was 9 or 10 to reach 3,000 hits. He's a little over 400 to reach that point. And Jim, I don't remember any time being at a game where I thought things were as important as they are and the atmosphere was about as dead as it is right now. It's just a complete contradiction. Boggs grounds out 4-3.
That's one of the things when you're in contention like the Yankees and you go on the road in September, you expect this. Even, you know, in past years during pennant races when the home team doesn't have a lot at stake, and that's why in that clubhouse before the game, you have to jack yourself up mentally, put yourself in a frame of mind. This is the 7th game of the World Series. You can't let the flatness of the crowd affect the way you approach the game.
Now Randy Velarde in there for a strike. Yankees faced Carl once before, and he did a very good job against them. The Brewers eventually lost the game. Here's a shot to center field that'll fall with a 1-out base hit. Big bounce to center fielder Darrell Hamilton. Velarde takes the big turn, and he's on with a hit.
Well, as we've seen so often from Randy Velarde, the ability to take the ball the other way. See, you can almost see that ball hit up near the trademark. And a lot of times the hitter gets trapped into maybe trying to pull that ball and hit an easy grounder to short or third. Randy takes it the other way for a one-out base hit.
That brings up Paul O'Neill. O'Neill has been really struggling. 4 for his last 29, hitting 138 over his last 9 games. O'Neill was standing near us when we were having our production meeting this afternoon, and I joked. Yeah, at that point we talked about Paul O'Neill's slump, just for his benefit, of course. It was a joke. And O'Neill picked right up on it and said, I think you're going to need a half-hour special to talk about that.
But he's had an amazing ability, and when that average sneaks down around 300, he goes on a tear. And for Paul O'Neill and the Yankees, a tear of 5 games would be very timely.
O'Neill sends it down the left field line. Surhoff is there on the edge of the track, 2 away. I mentioned Scott Karl's first performance against the Yankees. 7 innings, just 5 hits allowed. Yankees won it in extra innings, 3-1 back in July.
Not an overpowering pitcher, a left-hander with a palm ball changeup. He's come up with the little cutter that seems to be very popular these days, a little slider that he can run in on the hands of right-handers.
That brings up Ruben Sierra. Ruben Sunday 0 for 3, snapping his 11-game hitting streak. Over that stretch of 11 games, 15 for 37, hitting 5 points better than .400. Big contributions to the cause with a home run to help the Yankees in the Toronto series, and then the first game of the doubleheader on Saturday, the sweep, of course. This is to right field. Matt Mieske is under it. And that does it for the Yankees. So Scott Karl allows 1 hit to Randy Velarde. The Yankees strand him after a half an inning in Milwaukee. Scoreless.
New York Yankees baseball is brought to you by Nobody Beats the Wiz Home Entertainment Centers. By Delta, the official airline of the New York Yankees and Madison Square Garden. By AT&T, bringing certainty to the uncertain world of business. AT&T, for the life of your business. And by Pizza Hut, home of the stuffed crust pizza.
Sterling Hitchcock takes to the mound. It's the Yankees and the Brewers. We move to the bottom half of the first inning with the sweat stains that go back all the way to Fort Lauderdale. There he is with a start he didn't expect.
Now the starting for Jack McDowell, of course, in his spot in the rotation. When you look at Sterling's year, record of 9-10, if you take those quality start games, you know, where he goes 6-7 innings, he's 8-2 with his ERA is a little over 2. But the other starts, 1-8, ERA of 11. So Sterling is like that left-hander. When he's on, he's Sweet William. When he's not, he's Wild Bill. He's real good or real bad.
It's Darrell Hamilton, then Kevin Seitzer, B.J. Surhoff, and John Jaha. Some hot hitting at the top. Then Joe Oliver's the DH, Matt Mieske, Jeff Cirillo, Pat Listash, Mike Matheny. The Brewers as a team, though, are slumping. We'll detail some of the numbers as they come up one at a time. It is a frightening downturn for this young team managed by Phil Garner. Hamilton 10 for his last 49. He's hitting .204 over that stretch, and his average is still at .276, so that'll tell you something. Center field, it's Gerald Williams pulling it in, positioned perfectly. Now, Jim, Derek Jeter came out to get this start. It tells us only one thing, that Buck Showalter either knows Bernie Williams is in the clubhouse getting dressed or on his way here.
And because of that, you see the alignment. You wondered, hey, that's surprising. Gerald Williams caught that fly ball. Yeah, Randy Velarde's in left, Paul O'Neill in right. Then around the infield, Wade Boggs always at third, Pat Kelly down Mattingly on the right side, Mike Stanley catches, and then the two new positions. Gerald Williams, very capable of playing in center field. That's where he's at tonight. And the rookie Derek Jeter in a start in a very important ball game.
Biggest of his career. Number 2 hitter is Kevin Seitzer. Seitzer hitting .309 on the season. Still wearing the extra protection from getting hit in the face prior in his career. He's 2 for his last 12.
As you go down that lineup, there are very few. John Jaha has hit quite well in September, a little like Sierra has for the Yankees, but all of their averages are a good 20 points below what they have been all year during the month of September.
I remember the first visit in by the Brewers to the stadium, doing an interview with Phil Garner, because everyone, was writing them off before the year began. Small market woes, we can't compete. And there they were.
Yeah.
And you thought, it's only the first month. But boy, they kept it up all the way until the season's final month.
Gives you an idea of all phases of the game. Their hitters, the averages are down, but Mike Fetters has allowed 4 games to slip away as their closer here during the month of September. And the difference between their record and the Yankees.
Fly ball down the right field line. Mattingly giving chase and grabs it. What a catch by Don Mattingly. I don't know how he ever saw it. Well, that's how you win 9 Gold Gloves.
Well, you saw him take the quick glance at Paul O'Neill and see that O'Neill couldn't catch it. Boy, that's some athletic ability there. I mean, that's like a wide receiver running a little sideline route. I don't know of any other first baseman playing in the American League that catches that ball. And there again is a reason the hitting woes are overstated, but that's a reason he is still valuable to a ball club, because he can play on both sides of the ball.
And a catch made in fair territory. Here's B.J. Surhoff, the left fielder tonight. Surhoff's numbers very, very impressive. Well over 300. He's 0 for 10. This is unbelievable, Jim.
Yeah, you get back to those numbers you're mentioning, and what are the results? The Brewers, since they were only a half game out in this wild card race, have gone 6-16 in September. The Yankees, since the end of August, 21-7.
Sends this pitch again out to Mattingly, flirting with the front row. He's got room and pulls it in. Very strong inning for Sterling, Hitchcock, and New York. 1 complete at County Stadium. The first of 5 games left for New York. Scoreless. Oh. At County Stadium in Milwaukee, Al Trout again for Dave Cohen, along with Jim Cott. It's Mike Stanley to face rookie Scott Karl as we begin the second inning here. Stanley 3 for his last 25. Most of the Yankee bats, like Milwaukee's, ice cold, but with the pitching they've been getting lately, they were able to win 6 of 7 on the recent homestand.
And when you play a team like Milwaukee, and we brought this up before, that is out of the pennant race, when you get a few runs early, that's huge, because they lose little interest. You take them out of the game early. They would really like, in Scott Karl's case, crank up a good one. The Brewers would like to knock the Yankees off, but you get up on that team like that 4 or 5 runs, makes that last part of the game a lot easier.
Jim, Scott Karl's fastball not that speedy, mid-80s at best, and some people tell me without the changeup that he's got, he's not even in the major leagues. And of course, when you talk about the changeup, you talk about mostly a pitch that older pitchers learn. Obviously, in his case, maybe he got an early lesson from someone who said, if you don't learn this pitch, you may not be around longer. What makes it so tough to learn the changeup?
Well, I think it's a trend now that pitchers are learning better earlier, really. I think, and you mentioned Scott Karl is like most of the rookie pitchers this year. 20% of the pitchers that have started in the major leagues have been rookies. And we saw the numbers on the pregame show that you showed with Brad Radke leading the list. So rookies have had to advance faster.
Well, Stanley's troubles continue. He was right on it timings wise, but missed the pitch. 1 away.
And there you said he's not overpowering, but when you have the reputation of having a pretty good changeup, sometimes an 85-mile-an-hour fastball can look like 90, as it did right there to Mike Stanley on the inside corner. I think even in college and high school, young pitchers now, we don't see as many hard throwers, are learning, at least practicing the changeup, the split finger, off-speed pitches earlier.
Now Don Mattingly in there for a strike. Of course, the key to the changeup is making everything look as though it's your normal speeded pitch. So when you learn it, what makes that tough to do?
Well, when that was the
second. 2 quick outs. This game's moving along.
Yeah, the answer to your question about what makes it so tough is you want the arm speed to be the same as it is on the fastball without giving it away. You slow your motion down and your arm down, then the hitter picks that up. So the key to a good changeup like a Greg Maddux is, or when Frank Viola had his good one, is to have that arm speed be just the same as it is on the fastball and then not have the ball get there as quickly. And Greg Maddux didn't learn that in 2 years either. That takes some time, and guys like Scott Carl are being rushed to the big leagues, and they have to try to learn it up here.
0-1 to Gerald Williams. Scott Carl getting that pitch in there for strike one. Fouled off. The umpires, by the way, Mark Johnson behind the plate. Tim McClelland is at first. Rocky Rowe, Dave Phillips rounding out the crew here tonight. One and two. Big day for this franchise tomorrow. They will vote on whether there'll be a new stadium here.
Watch Scott Carl's front foot give way a little bit. There has been a lot of discussion about the mound here at Milwaukee. I don't think they've put the money into that blue gumbo clay that the Yankees have on their mound, and that's been a big concern. Randy Johnson injured his shoulder after his start here, so did Mark Langston. And everyone around the league has talked about the mound in Milwaukee. I've talked to several pitching coaches about it, and they've said, well, the slope is okay, but where you dig in with your foot, because there's not enough clay there, it gets chewed up. And watch as the game goes on by the 6th, 7th inning how much tinkering around and filling in the pitchers will do out there.
The 2-2 is low, so Carl goes full to Gerald Williams, getting the start in center field as the Yankees await the return of Bernie Williams. Bernie's going to have to behave a little sheepishly, I would think, when he shows up. I mean, he just missed the plane. Williams draws the 2-out walk.
Shortstop number 2, Derek Jeter.
And Derek Jeter will get an at-bat I'm sure he didn't expect to get. The reason Buck has done this is that when Bernie returns, he slides Gerald over to left and Randy Velarde into short. He doesn't lose any players that he would deem important to use on a night like this. So Derek Jeter basically being sacrificed in this situation.
A couple of innings in the early part of the ball game.
Jeter sends one toward the gap, deep to right field, going back, and it bounces off the wall. Matt Mieske can't play it. Hamilton sends it in. The Yankees are going to score a 2-out run. Well, how about that? Derek Jeter making the most of this chance. He gets a double that gives the Yankees a 1-0 lead.
Well, you play a rookie position player against a rookie pitcher, and he goes up there and says, I'm not as intimidated. I've maybe seen this guy before. Jumps on that first fastball. And again, an example of how things have gone for the Yankees in the month of September. Emergency situation. Derek Jeter with an RBI, his first at bat. Big pickup for the ball club.
I'll tell you, Bernie's going to show up and Buck's going to say, yeah, sit down, Bernie. Things are working out just fine.
Well, and what happens mentally to a player, see, if Derek Jeter knew from 5 o'clock or say 3 o'clock this afternoon that he was going to start, there may have been some time to get a little nervous and uptight, but that last minute call, say, hey, you're in there, you don't have time to get nervous.
Pat Kelly to the chest of Kevin Seitzer across the diamond in time. But with 2 outs, the Yankees get a run. Derek Jeter making Buck Showalter look like a genius. It's 1-0 New York as we head to the bottom of the 2nd inning in Wisconsin. At County Stadium in Milwaukee, the Yankees lead the Brewers by the score of 1-0, getting an RBI double from Derek Jeter. A last-minute insertion into the Yankee lineup tonight. So John Jaha will start things off for the Brewers. There's Derek Jeter out starting at shortstop. The Yankees, again, just to repeat, waiting for Bernie Williams to get his way back from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Sterling Hitchcock had a 1-2-3 first. And I think for Sterling Hitchcock, Jim, that's a very good sign to get through that first inning without a blemish at all.
Well, we pointed out earlier, when he is on, when he is good and sharp, his record dictates that.
Behind home plate, Stanley. He's got room. One away.
You know, Sterling does not have many average starts or mediocre starts. They're either sensational or they're bad. And tonight is a night when he doesn't have to have that sensational one. I think if he gives the Yankees a solid 7 innings, bullpen is well rested. Rick Honeycutt is out there to add to the mix.
Now here's another perfect example of why the Brewers have headed south. Joe Oliver, their DH, was 2 for 20 on a recent road trip. I mentioned this is a critical 24-hour period for the future of the Milwaukee Brewers. They'll vote tomorrow whether to pass a 1/10 of a cent tax on, I believe it's 5 counties in Milwaukee and the surrounding area, to build a new stadium adjacent to this one. Line shot. What a scoop by Don Mattingly. That's the second outstanding defensive play by Mattingly, and we're only in the second inning.
And if you want to be optimistic and look ahead to postseason, as you see the great pick by Mattingly, and he can win the race to the bag easily. And again, this is how quickly this ball will get out to Mattingly. Real speed, and shows you those great hands and reactions.
Well, if the Yankees do reach the postseason,
yeah, that'll be a big factor, the way they play in the field, because
they're the best defensive team of the 4.
As great a year as Cleveland has had, and Boston is solid, but they have not been quite as steady in the field.
Shot to center field. Gerald Williams got a good jump and grabs it. Back-to-back 1-2-3 innings for Sterling Hitchcock, and the Yankees carry their lead in a fast-moving game to the 3rd inning. This is MSG. New York Yankees Wild Card Baseball is brought to you in part by your Tri-State GMC truck dealers. The strength of experience. 3rd inning at County Stadium, with the Yankees leading it 1-0. Derek Jeter's RBI double giving the Yankees the edge. Wade Boggs, as Scott Carl, a rookie, has faced all 9 Yankee batters first time through. Now let's see what the Yankees do with a second look. Wade Boggs drops one in. Leadoff hit for the Yankees. What a run down the stretch that Wade Boggs has put on. He has just been so consistent. And as Rick Downs says, when your leadoff guy shows everyone else with one swing that hitting is easy, it spreads.
And what he does to work a pitcher, usually taking him into deep counts, going back to your comment about him playing for a few more years because he wants to get 3,000 hits. In baseball, you can be selfish and also be valuable to your team. Pete Rose, the best example of that. Fans might read that and say, well, all he wants to do is get hits. But in his case, the more hits he gets in that leadoff spot, and the more he gets on base, the more valuable he is to the Yankee ball club.
0-1 to Randy Velarde. There was some talk, Jim, before the game, was there not, that Tony Fernandez might be ready to play, and he's not out there. I guess maybe a last-minute decision may have changed that. He's missed 7 games with his sprained knee, and Randy's done a good job in his stead.
And he's an ideal number 2 hitter, with Bernie missing his ability to hit the ball the other way. And again, it goes back to, I think, Buck's thinking. You put Jeter in the lineup. If Bernie shows up, you move Velarde into shortstop, and you have Fernandez on the bench maybe for something in the late innings. And a few more at-bats like Derek Jeter's first at-bat, he'll stay right there for the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go with the flow, Tony missed 7 games, and the Yankees won 6 of them.
You see again, Scott Carl. I mean, that's been a problem all year. I'm amazed that none of the Brewers. You see right here, that's the area of the plant foot, and that is really dug up. You love to have nice solid clay there, so when you plant your foot, it sticks.
That's got to really play on your mind. As you're in your windup, you know that that could possibly be happening. That definitely is distracting. And I like the red, by the way.
Well, when you see hitters get in the batter's box, we see so many shots of them digging a hole in the batter's box, digging that clay out, getting a good foothold. And while they're doing that, we don't see it as often on camera, but when a pitcher starts the game, the first 2 things he does, he digs a little hole in front of the rubber, and then he goes down and he checks where that plant foot hits. Checks the texture of the dirt, digs a little spot. That's just as important to him as what Randy Velarde is doing right now, digging into the batter's box. You want to get a foothold.
3-2 pitch. Velarde to right field, coming on is Mieske, coming on. He won't get there. Boggs had to wait. Mieske misplays it. It goes all the way to the corner. Boggs on his bad hamstring gets a green light from Willie Randolph. The relay to the plate will not be in time, and Matt Mieski's misplay allows the Yankees to grab a 2-0 lead. Well, I hurt watching Wade Boggs run around the bases. Ouch.
Wow. Well, there's nobody out, so he'll get plenty of rest. Wade Boggs, you can see the smiles in the Yankee dugout. Mieski really misplayed that. I mean, that ball hit to the side of him. He never got his body in place, and Boggs reads it, but you can see Wade, that's top speed. Willie Randolph makes the judgment, and he sees even with that step-and-a-half trot Wade's got going, he can score easily, and Velarde all the way to third.
Single with a 2-base error, most likely to be charged against Mieski, and O'Neill sends one deep. Really deep. It's a home run for Paul O'Neill and a 4-0 game as the Yankees bust out early here against the Milwaukee Brewers. That had a great crack to it, and it's exactly where Paul O'Neill says when he puts it in the gaps, he's doing something right. 21st home run of the season, 4-0 Yankees. A lot of Yankee fans here. You may be able to hear them in the background.
Yeah, that's the only reaction you'll hear tonight is Yankee fans. But again, another example. Don Rowe's going to come out to the mound, talk to Scott Carl. But Paul O'Neill has that low water mark. You know, his average starts sneaking down there to an even 300. This is his zone, inside half of the plate. And as you mentioned, when he's hitting it in the gaps, that means his timing is perfect, and that well over the Brewer bullpen. And so important for Sterling Hitchcock and the Yankees. You get those 4 runs early, and you watch tonight, and you're going to see the Brewers now stuck back on their heels. September's been a long month for Phil Garner, 6-16. The Yankees have picked up 12 games on them in just the last 3.5 weeks.
You know, it's tough to gauge baseball as an emotional sport, Jim. We've talked about that, but I would think that the Brewers coming in, especially with the way the last couple of weeks have gone, and thinking that they were actually in a race for so long, that they'll come to the ballpark. There's Bernie.
Hey.
Ruben Sierra, hot shot to second. That'll be the first out of the inning. I would guess that the Brewers come to the ballpark now and think, well, if things go right, okay, we'll get excited. But if they get bopped early, that's when I think psychologically and emotionally you can just see them rolling over and falling away.
No question. This team mentally for the last few weeks, I think when they saw the other ball clubs, and the Yankees the best example, they pick up Cone, they pick up Sierra, they pick up Rick Honeycutt with 5 days to go. All the other teams make an acquisition, but the Brewers, because of the financial situation, they add nobody. They can't. And so when you're on that team and you say, well, our front office can't spend any money or won't spend any money, it affects the morale of the whole ball club. And talking to B.J. Surhoff and some of the veterans, they said, yeah, it's just our inexperience. We've had a lot of young kids have to play in this playoff pressure situation, not accustomed to it, not responding to it.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
They're scoring Randy Velarde's hit a triple.
Ooh, that's, well, that's the old, he didn't get leather on it.
Oh, please. I've never liked that view of things.
No, but that's what the view is. Scorers have always taken that view. If you don't get leather on it, they're going to score it a hit all the way.
Mike Stanley sends one to right field, deep. Mieski back, stops on the track. A long fly ball out for Mike Stanley. Stanley making good contact, and the second pass through the order is looking like a very good sign for New York. Stanley a quick 0 for 2, strikeout 9. Now Don Mattingly trying to distance what had to be a very emotional Sunday from his train of thought. Off the leg of Carl and hit very hard by Mattingly, who will reach first base. Now the question is Carl okay?
Pitcher hates to rub it. They don't want to go down and rub it. That looked like a shin burger. It looked like it caught him right on the shin. And Mattingly, you can see him watch the ball hit the bat. This ball is hit sharply. Looked like just above the ankle. And John Adams, the veteran Brewer trainer, out to check that. Yeah, the second pass through the batting order, as you mentioned, now very successful. And what what Buck could do right now with that 4-run lead. He's not so eager maybe if Bernie just gets off a plane and, you know, not ready to play. So you could sit him for a while. They're going to let Carl throw a couple of warm-up pitches, make sure he's all right.
Well, definitely looks like Bernie's getting ready to come into the game. He's got the gloves on.
Yeah.
Players welcoming him back. Bernie had a long day. You know, the phone call to Buck to tell him that he missed the flight wasn't easy. And then instead of flying from San Juan to Chicago and getting a ride from traveling secretary Dave Zen, it's about 90 minutes. He went San Juan, New York, New York, Chicago, Chicago, Milwaukee. Ooh. Yikes.
Well, that's a good reason why coming to the park right now and the frame of mind he's in, it might be better to hold him out a couple of innings. But when you see Rick Down giving him a little scouting report on Scott Carl's stuff, looks like he's going in there.
So Carl shakes off the shot to the shin. Actually would have been better off maybe had he slipped on the loose dirt and fell, because then the ball would have just bounced over him.
Going into center field.
Mattingly on with the 2-out infield single. 0-2 to Gerald Williams. In on the belly. Carl wastes one inside, 1-2. Just to finish the thought, because of the way the game is going, we can't seem to get one story through, but if this stadium vote doesn't pass tomorrow, it is assumed by most that the Brewers are headed out of town. Gerald Williams strikes out, and Scott Carl finally pitches out of it, but the Yankees get 3 to go up 4-0. Paul O'Neill's home run part of it. Bernie Williams back in the lineup. Back at County Stadium, the Yankees making the most of the first 3 innings, leading 4-0. And how about Derek Jeter getting the start at shortstop as the Yankees waited for Bernie Williams to arrive, and he gives them the lead with a double. And now Buck Showalter explains the changes because Jeter is out. Velarde goes to short. Gerald Williams slides to left, and there he is, Daddy himself, Bernie Williams.
Frequent flyer miles all behind him. Derek Jeter saying, what did I do wrong? I mean, I started, got an RBI 1 for 1. Why couldn't I keep playing?
And everything works out fine because Bernie enters a game in which the Yankees lead at 4-0. About the only thing that hurts the Yankees is that Bernie hits in the 8th spot, Jeter's spot, and they lose the 1-2 Boggs-Williams punch that they've had for so long at the top of their batting order.
Well, I think even more than that, Al, the important thing to monitor is Bernie. You know, you'd hate to see a fly ball hitting the gap right now from the Yankees standpoint and have Bernie to run a sprint. You know, just getting here, you see him stretching the legs out. He hasn't had the normal pregame workout.
Well, we're told that one of the first things he did was go to Gary Weil, the strength and conditioning coach, and head up the runway for a little workout.
Yeah. Well, that part's good, but when you haven't had a chance to shag fly balls and actually be out there, you hate to have that first one where you have to sprint, run hard.
Now, how do you know in Puerto Rico, where there's a baseball field on every corner, he didn't get out there and shag a few?
You hope he did something yesterday just to work out a little.
Jeff Cirillo, 3-0, looks at strike 1. Sterling Hitchcock breezed through the first 2 innings, both with a 1-2-3 in the first and second. Cirillo draws the walk, and at this point he'll take anything. He is 4 for his last 40. And 0 for his last 21. This is like an epidemic that's racing through the Brewers clubhouse.
So that's a real gift from as far as Cirillo is concerned, getting a base on balls.
Here's Pat Listash, one-time Rookie of the Year, the average falling all the way down to 220.
The one thing the Brewers in '92 did so well, steal bases, hit and run. Phil Garner said, I can't do that as much with this ball club. They haven't made contact. That hit and run, stealing the bases routine has just not worked the way it did in '92 when Listash had that great rookie season.
We're going to start using those 4 words that no one wants to hear. Flash in the pan.
Yeah. For the Brewers, it's been a long 3 weeks. And
One thing Sterling Hitchcock doesn't want to do here is let the Brewers right back into it. He's given him a wide open chance with the leadoff walk. 0-1 to Listash. Listash 0 for 7 on the homestand. On a road trip before that, he was 7 for 26. On the homestand before that, he was 3 for 19. Yikes.
And when you see numbers like that from a pitcher's standpoint, you go out there and try not to be too fine and hit the corners, but you say the way these guys are hitting, just challenge them with good stuff and make them put the ball in play.
Well, Sterling Hitchcock with a good sign, striking out Listash, who looked pretty horrible swinging at that pitch. One away.
Well, that's what Sterling had working the last game. He got ahead of hitters, and that expands the zone, and then you get slumping hitters like Pat Listash and a lot of the Brewers that'll chase pitches out of the strike zone.
That brings up the ninth hitter, Mike Matheny. Matheny is 7 for his last 29. Almost picked off at first.
Yeah, Don Mattingly should get as much credit for these pickoffs by Pettit and Hitchcock. You see Donnie give Cirillo that little deke move towards second, and that helps influence the runner. And he and Pettit, now Hitchcock, have the timing of that down perfectly.
The first pitch to Matheny is in there for a strike. Jim, I don't know if you saw noted columnist Jim Dwyer's column in the Daily News this weekend. It was all about Mattingly. He tried to take a different take on things, and he said, Don, you know, I don't come to a lot of games, but one of the things I see is that when you're guarding a guy at first base, no matter what, when the pitcher throws over to you, you put the tag on no matter what. Fly ball right side, Mattingly's got to play. 2 away. He said, you know, you always put the tag on him, even if he's standing on the bag. So why do you do that? He said, I may get him out one day. He may just step off and I may get him out. You ever have that happen? No. How long you been doing it? 13 years.
Right. How long you going to keep doing it? Vic Power was great, especially in the Jimmy Pearsall, Vic Power days, because Power would slam that tag onto a runner. And he'd figure eventually he's going to get tired of diving back in there.
Now Darrell Hamilton, who flied to his own position first time up. This will be the second trip through the order for Sterling Hitchcock.
You know, ideally, going back to that Mattingly tag, as a first baseman, you whack that base runner on the thigh. I mean, and eventually he takes enough punishment on those. They used to do that to Maury Wills a great deal, you know, late in the season. All those stolen bases. Maury was rather, I don't want to say fragile, but slightly built. And he'd take a pounding on those wheels. And that's why sometimes those first basemen, just for effect, they'll whack that tag down on there.
Now, did Donnie just tag him there?
No, I don't think he did there, because Cirillo got back standing up.
0-1 to Hamilton.
That, of course, is Buck's style. He really pays a lot of attention to the running game, regardless of the score. Always wants pitchers keeping that runner close.
Yankees know about the running game. They just don't have one. 48 stolen bases, the fewest in the major leagues. Tom Goodwin of the Kansas City Royals has as many steals himself as the Yankees do as a team.
Yeah, the running game and sacrifice bunts, hit and run. Yankees are down at the bottom in all of those categories, but yet during the month of September they have used the hit and run a little more than the past, and it's paid off.
High and tight. Hamilton goes down. Did he get hit?
Yeah, see, there's the flip side of all that attention paid to the runners, and it sounds like a broken record to some Yankee fans, but it's been a broken record. You got a 4-0 lead. Hitchcock picked up the target late, and it appeared to catch Darrell Hamilton on the left arm. Right under, it gets a little bit, it looks like right about there, it catches him right near the left elbow, or maybe nicked his jersey. You see him reach immediately for the left arm. Either did a good job of acting, but
well, Mark Johnson reached immediately for his arm and pointed to first base. So suddenly Sterling Hitchcock, as Jim alluded to, has got a situation with 2 runners on base and 2 outs with the number 2 hitter, Kevin Seitzer, at the plate. He got Seitzer to pop to first in the first.
Yeah, if you've got a 4-0 lead against a team that's struggling, even though they have a man on first base, you see Seitzer with 2 outs and runners on. This is where he's been strong all year. Another reason why you'd like to have him leading off, not hitting with 2 men on. You pitch like you have blinders on, like there's nobody on base, and just go after the hitter.
Way outside. You know, when Hitchcock gets into certain situations, he does try to be too fine. We've seen that so often, and then suddenly you've got runners on base, and then you're totally changing the way you're pitching. 2-0 with 2 outs and 2 on. Yankees up 4-0 with 6 hits.
Now, when the name Jack McDowell comes up, usually Jack Morris. I was talking to Buck Showalter about this the other day, and he was saying how McDowell's a different breed. And I said, he reminds me a lot of Jack Morris. And what those two guys do is they pitch to the scoreboard. And that's sometimes when you see Sterling Hitchcock going through this right now, you say, I wonder if he really knows the score, the count, the situation. It's not a base stealing situation. You don't have to pay that much attention to him.
The 2-1 pitch is sent down to the corner in right field. Paul O'Neill won't get there, and it bounces into the stands. It'll be a 1-run situation, ground rule double. And how about this? With 2 outs, the Brewers get a run. It's 4-1 Yankees.
Well, the first hit for the Brewers, and the Yankees actually get a break. If that ball does not hop into the stands, Darrell Hamilton is going to score easily. And Seitzer, even though the Brewers have been slumping, his numbers with runners on and 2 out, clutch situations continue. There's that high bounce. If it hits off the wall, it's a 4-2 ball game.
Tying run to the plate with 2 outs, and it's B.J. Surhoff. Is a man of a different breed.
Well, it would have been his turn to pitch tonight. Going back to that throwing to first, and we mentioned those signs come in from the bench, but oftentimes a pitcher has the final say. Some sign is you have to throw over there, and I think in some cases the pitcher and the catcher can overrule or throw over there on their own.
Right at us.
Glove, I would have tried that. Surhoff in the same category with runners in scoring position. Up there second to Edgar Martinez.
Was darn close to coming right in the booth. I'm very disappointed. Surhoff with 12 home runs and 69 runs driven in. 1-2. Nice pitch by Hitchcock. Jim, have you ever talked to Sterling Hitchcock about something you've brought up so many times about how late he looks at the plate to him?
I talked to Billy Connors when he was a pitching coach here about that, and you know, it's something that has been a part of his windup for years, and I don't think they want to try to change it right now.
To right field. O'Neill's got a track on it, and the Yankees get out of the inning. The Brewers strand 2. Surhoff got pretty good wood on it. We'll head to the 4th inning here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 4-1 New York.
New York Yankees baseball has been brought to you in part by your Tri-State Quality Ford dealers. See your Ford dealer and see for yourself. Well, welcome back to Quiet County Stadium. As you see the lineup down here for the Yankees, the number 8 spot, Bernie Williams has been added. Derek Jeter scratched, which who joined us earlier. Randy Velarde started in left field. He's now at shortstop, and Gerald has moved over to left field. So Bernie, fresh off the plane, fast cab ride, stretch out a little bit, first at bat, inside corner, strike 1.
Well, Jim, Bernie was hitting .366 in his last 11 games, but for the most part, I thought he had a pretty rough weekend. He was doing things we haven't seen him do in a while. Strike out, hit into double plays. The break may have come at just the right time.
1-1. Well, if he may be tired, but he's probably more relaxed and relieved. He made a clever comment to the media after Sunday's game. He said, well, Bianca will probably be talking by the time I get there. She was a week old, laid on that one, 1-2.
What do you think the over-under is on the amount of hugs she got? Oh, they made the change.
They
Perfect.
just got the last-minute change.
So what do you think? They don't get that vote tomorrow. This team's out of here, right?
I think so. I think so. And it looks like the Seattle vote. I think what it proves to ownership in Seattle, and I think they want to stay there, but you can't expect the taxpayers to put up new stadiums for you. You have to put most of it up yourself. That's low for a ball, 2-2. The word here in Milwaukee is that Milwaukee Brewers would put up like $90 million, and then they want the old 1/10 of 1%. But what they have going against them here is just no television market, not enough room to expand as a city like, say, a Charlotte, North Carolina. Hit well, straightaway center. Hamilton near the track should have room. And Bernie in his first at-bat flies out to center. So an area like Charlotte, North Carolina, which is the rumored city where Milwaukee could go. A lot of television possibilities, a lot of money, a lot of expansion down there.
I doubt you're calling the team the Brewers in the Bible Belt.
No, I don't think so. Pat Kelly grounded out to third in his first at-bat. Shows bunt, and Jaha makes a nice effort, can't get it. Well, something we haven't seen Pat Kelly try a great deal of. Good idea, and a nice effort by Jaha.
There are fans here giving him a standing ovation for even trying. They haven't seen a lot of effort from their Brewers team lately. So Jaha, here's it for the try.
0-1 to Kelly.
Well, the contrast in emotions in the two cities is remarkable.
In on the fists, and Jaha will call that one in fair territory. Puts it away, 2 quick outs.
Poetic justice, don't you think? But I mean, here you have a team playing out the string, empty stadium, bad atmosphere, and a vote tomorrow to build a new ballpark. In Seattle, you've got just about a full house every day now, with the city going nuts about a first pennant in the history of the franchise. And it's the year that the team votes to probably leave town.
Inside to Boggs for a ball. Those that joined us later aren't aware the Mariners pounded the Angels today 10-2. Increased their lead to 3 games. Straightaway center. Hamilton is parked right there, and Scott Carl comes back after the 3-run third and has a nice 1-2-3 inning. We've played 3.5 here at County Stadium, and the Yankees lead this one 4-1. Yankees baseball is brought to you by Hoover, the #1 name in floor care. Nobody gets the dirt like Hoover. Nobody.
We like Hoover so much we gave him a second shot there. By the way, this just a few moments ago out in the parking lot. These guys decided the tailgate was better than the game. This is one of the best tailgating ballparks in baseball.
For baseball and football, like the old Minnesota park when it was outside baseball. Jaha takes ball 1 to lead off the bottom of the 4th. Ripped and just out of the reach of Velarde, and Jaha has a leadoff single here, the second of the game for the Brewers.
And the second straight inning in which they've gotten the leadoff man on, and true to form, the leadoff walk in the last inning came across and was a run.
Plenty of space still available, and think back to about a dozen years ago when this was an outstanding baseball city with Harvey's Wallbangers, and they went to the World Series. That parking lot was full, and every 10 feet you could get a brat. You'd have been happy with that atmosphere.
Well, I tell you, it's just not fair. You show up at this place 3, 4 in the afternoon, they're cooking the brats already. You just can't resist. You got to do it. John Wetland had 3 brats in about 5 minutes before the game tonight.
Oliver and Mattingly again will make a great play.
Unbelievable. This is the 3rd gem. Put an asterisk next to it on your scorecard. First it was going down the line, then it was a scoop on a hard shot, making it look easy.
I mean, Mike Holmgren's going to be checking this out, say we could use, backup wide receiver here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, that'd be good for his back.
But those are 3 plays, and that's not a stretch. There are not a lot of first basemen that make any of those 3 plays that he has made tonight.
Of course, the Packers don't play any more games here at County Stadium. They're all played at Lambeau Field.
Matt Miske, who misplayed Randy Velarde's single. It actually scored a triple That helped the Yankees score a pair. That's lowered away for a ball. Again, the stadium issue here. This city has reached a point where you hate to say goodbye for all the history they've had going back to the Milwaukee Braves in the late 50s, but this city soon will become North Chicago, and there just is not a lot of area for expansion. Again, lack of television revenue, and it might be best, like if you're Phil Garner, that is a swing, said first base umpire Tim McClellan, 1-1 to Mieske. If you're Phil Garner, the Brewers manager, you'd like to maybe go to an area where you get some more money to work with. You see Mieske commit on that pitch. If the Brewers stay here, they're going to be limited again to a very small payroll, and unlike other clubs in September where they add players, they won't be able to do it. Inside corner, 1-2. That's a short list. Matt Mieske over the last 10 days at 286 is the hottest Brewer. That tells you how some of their batting averages have plummeted. Trying to trick John Jaha over there with a modest lead. He's back in time. I would imagine you have had more noise in your studio for pregame shows than you're hearing here tonight in the stadium.
Yeah, there have been nights when there was some yelling in the studio.
Left center, Gerald Williams on the run, and now Bernie cuts over in front and gets his first chance of the night. 2 down.
Second baseman, Jeff Cirillo.
One of the first things that Rick Honeycutt said when he walked onto the field for the first time in a Yankee uniform was walk past Hitchcock, and then he looked at John Wetland and he said, "Don't you guys get new baseball caps here?" And Wetland said, "Hey, we worked hard in the beginning. We're working hard now. We want everyone to know it."
That's their badge of honor, those perspiration-stained caps, Wetland and Hitchcock. Jeff Cirillo, who drew a leadoff walk the last inning, and as usual, those things usually come back and hurt, and that one cost Sterling Hitchcock the Brewers' only run by way of the leadoff walk. Ball 1.
Yankees will play the second and final game of the series tomorrow. That'll be an afternoon game. David Cohn against Brian Givens. 1:30 New York start for AT&T Yankee scorecard.
Jaha back in time, and David Cohn for an update on that blister. It's really, had a chance to look at it today and talk to him about it. It's really more like dead skin. It's not the kind of blister that when you touch it's painful or inflamed. And
it's actually 2 of them too.
Yeah, there's 2 little, much smaller than a dime, very, very small circles. Reached for it, lofted it to right. Should be easy for O'Neill, and it is. And Hitchcock pitches out of the 4th inning. He has given the Yankees 4 solid innings here, allowing the Brewers just 2 hits, and after 4, Yankees lead it 4-1. Back at County Stadium with a small crowd, short 2-game series. Reminder that big-time boxing returns to the Mecca Friday, December 15th. Oscar De La Hoya versus Jesse James Leija. Scott Carl's first pitch, low for a ball. Tickets available at the Garden box office or through Ticketmaster. Call that number, 212-307-7171. High chopper over the mound, and Cirillo with a strong arm to Jaha. 1 out here in the 5th.
Speaking of Jesse James, I don't know if they've done it yet and what they found, but there was a group that got a court order to exhume the body of Jesse James because they believed he wasn't in the coffin, you know. Just weird. I mean, it's just one of those things you can't believe. After a century, they've decided to dig him up.
Well, some interested spectators here. The Yankee brass and owner seated right behind home plate. Gene Michael, the stick, who engineered the Rick Honeycutt acquisition. The spectacled Gene Michael checking his scorecard. Tom May and Tim McCleary from the Yankee front office along with him. That's low for a ball. Stick City started about 12 days ago working on the Honeycutt deal, and And a lot of times, there's pitchers out there like Jesse Orozco that maybe were a little more attractive, but teams are a little hesitant to deal with you this time of the year.
Again, it was $50,000 to the Oakland A's plus Honeycutt's salary for this week, roughly about $8,000. So $58,000 to get a pitcher for 5 days. He's not even a hired gun. He's a temp.
Well, and again, it's credit Gene Michael, and he obviously has to get the financial okay from the owner. O'Neill swings through that one of going out and getting what they think they need to win. And you look at the contrast with the Brewers. That's something Phil Garner doesn't have the opportunity to do that. And the inexperience and rookies and a lot of replacement players that they've had to play with finally caught up with them here in September. 3-2 now to O'Neill. Paul with a long home run to right center field in his last at bat to drive in 2. In on the hands, Jaha with a nice backhand pick, flips to Carl. In time, 2 down.
Of course, you see George Steinbrenner, and you know how he's been spending a lot of his time, and that's talking to people in New York about where the new stadium is going to be. Yankees general counsel David Sussman this past weekend didn't come flat out and say the Yankees prefer the west side of Manhattan, but he did, if you read between the lines, say that the west side of Manhattan would be the best possible spot for the Yankees.
Well, you and I have talked about that before. I'm not a New Yorker, but that is so logical. Maybe that's why it's taken long to do it. Sierra with a big swing. I know there's parking problems, traffic problems, but you have those everywhere in a city, and other cities have figured out a way to solve it. Inside, can you imagine a replica of the old Yankee Stadium? 296 down the line, 301 down the other line, 457, just the way it was, with about 44,000 seats.
I'll tell you, Jim, I don't think that's the direction they're headed.
No.
I mean, I think Yankee fans would love it to be as memorable in terms of the old stadium as possible, but they're talking about building it on a 10-story garage, and they want a retractable roof and all the suites. I think the Yankees are looking towards something more like a Sky Dome.
High hopper towards second, and Scott Carl settled down as another nice 1-2-3 inning. And 4.5 here. We're halfway home at County Stadium. Sterling Hitchcock and the Yankees up by 3.
The New York State Lotto jackpot is now $10 million. Thank you.
New York Lotto. Hey, you never know.
Back at County Stadium, we move to the bottom of the 5th, and Sterling Hitchcock has held the Brewers to 1 run and 2 hits. And the Yankees have come up with 4, 2 of them on Paul O'Neill's 21st home run. Bernie Williams is back from his trip to Puerto Rico. And in the lineup, joined us late, Derek Jeter. It is only at bat, knocked in the Yankees' first run. So a productive night so far as Pat Listash steps in.
He's going to face the 8th, 9th, and 1st place hitters for the Brewers. Be a good time for Sterling Hitchcock to think maybe about a 1-2-3 inning. Then you face the power of the Milwaukee Brewers order next inning with nobody on base. He's gone 2 innings straight with getting the leadoff man on. One time he got out of it, one time he didn't.
And there's a strike to even the count, 1-1. In a perfect situation for Buck Showalter with his fall of the California Angels, now 3 games behind Seattle. That's fouled at the plate, 1-2. And if the Yankees win tonight, they will be a game and a half ahead of the Angels. They could nail down a playoff spot by Friday night. And you don't want to get greedy if you're Buck Showalter, but you do want to look at the whole picture. If you're going to get the postseason, you might as well go ahead and try to win it, right? And again, Listash reaches. He has really chased some pitches with Hitchcock ahead in the count. So if you clinch it on Friday, clinch the wild card spot, earn it, whatever term you want to use, you don't use McDowell, obviously, on Saturday. And you don't have to come back with David Cone on Sunday. So now Cone starts game 1 of the division playoff. And if McDowell, during that extra 4 or 5 days, if that back heals a little bit, the muscle under the scapula, you could use him in game 2. So that's a perfect situation for the Yankees. Got him again. Boy, tough times for Pat Listash.
He struck out both times. Last time, low in the dirt, Hitchcock gave him the same exact pitch.
Yep.
And got him again.
Well, and when guys hit down in the bottom of the lineup, that's what you can do. You know, good hitters, you have to move the ball around. One time you get them out inside, next time you have to might go outside. But when a guy is struggling and he does that, you keep on pounding that same pattern until he shows you he's going to come out of it.
Of course, Jim, the other thing the Yankees are keeping an eye on is the lead that the Mariners have over the Angels. They've just sailed right by California. It's a 3-game lead. And if it becomes so easy for Seattle, they won't have to use Randy Johnson this weekend, which means he as well would be available for Game 1. And the way he's pitching lately, that's a big plus for them.
2-0 now to Matheny. It'll be interesting to see who Lou Piniella sends to the mound tomorrow in the final game of their 2-game series. Fouled out of play, 2-1, because with that 3-game cushion, you know, Piniella can look at that and say, if I win one more game, there's a pretty good chance I'll win the division. So he could push Johnson back a day, pitch him Thursday in Seattle, or in Texas rather, and then he would be ready for Game 1. In on the hands down the right field line. O'Neill giving chase, and he gets there. So just the opposite for Sterling Hitchcock and Scott Carl. A lot of the Yankee outs when they're at the plate have been ground outs. And you see O'Neill make the running catch near the foul line. The only ground ball, Mattingly made an unassisted play at first base. All the rest of the outs been strikeouts, pop-ups, or fly balls.
Jim, one streak is continuing in this game. We have not seen the Yankees need an assist to get an out. Everything's either been a fly ball or an unassisted ground ball to first base. You might remember about a month ago the Yankees played in a game. It was only the 5th all time. September 10th against Cleveland.
That pitch to Darrell Hamilton in for a strike. Just missed the outside corner. 1-1. Hit well left field, but Gerald Williams has it measured. And Sterling Hitchcock with a nice 1-2-3 inning is putting back-to-back solid starts together at a very important time for the Yankees. We've played 5 here in Milwaukee. Yankees lead at 4-1. Now to catch you up on all of the sports activities, let's go to Bob Page at the MSG Sports Desk.
Thank you, Jim Heigen. Everybody, in case you're just tuning in, the Angels' amazing slide continuing. They were annihilated, humiliated at Seattle this afternoon, 10-2. The Angels now in danger of falling a game and a half back of the Yankees in the wild card race. What a finish Jay Buhner is putting on. The ex-Yankee making a run at American League Most Valuable Player honors. This was his 38th home run of the season. It came today off Mike James in the 5th inning, made it 6-1 as the M's win their 7th straight. If they win tomorrow over the Angels, they clinch at least a tie for the West title. At SUNY Purchase today, the Knicks opened a minicamp for rookies, free agents, and select young veteran players. Under Don Nelson, the atmosphere noticeably different already.
He's a perfectionist, just like Riley, but I think it's calmer in a sense. You know, everybody's more relaxed because he gives you a chance to explore your game a little more, and he already knows everybody's game, so he already gives you a chance to go a step further with your game.
Much more of the Knicks in our full half-hour edition of the Sports Desk right after the Yankee post-game report.
Back at County Stadium in Milwaukee, Yankees carrying a 4-1 lead into the 6th inning. Mike Stanley leads it off against rookie starter Scott Carl, who has allowed 6 Yankee hits and 4 Yankee runs. But he's coming off a 1-2-3 inning. 2 of them in a row now for him. High to left center field. Hamilton, 1 out. Well, the Yankees making a last-minute, and I mean last-minute deal to bring 41-year-old Rick Honeycutt over from the Oakland A's. They're talking to Steve Howe. Of course, Howe knows the acquisition of Honeycutt for the next 5 games means he sees a lot less notable September acquisitions for the Yankees.
See Tanana in 93 and Dave Kingman in 77. The Ramos acquisition, very important. Ramos was a starting pitcher most of his career, joined the Yankees, became a outstanding reliever, and Sal the Barber back in 1958.
But none of those deals with as little as 5 games left. Do you remember in all your years of baseball anyone doing something this late?
I was trying to think of the Red Sox in 1967 when they picked up Elston Howard, the late great Yankee catcher, but he had 116 at bats during that month of September, so you know he was there a while.
The 2-0 pitch to Mattingly is a strike. 2 balls and a strike, 1 out. Yankees up 4-1. Another foul ball into lots of empty seats.
So it comes down to the last day, and Rick Honeycutt's on the mound, and he gets the last out. All the Yankees run out there, and hey, nice going. And he said, yeah, I'd like to shake all your hands, but I got a flight in a half hour. Have a good time in the postseason. See you later.
Did my job.
Yeah. And then when they have the postseason share and they cut up the postseason shares, I mean, what do you give a guy that's been here 5 days but got 2 key outs for you? But that is this bizarre situation in Major League Baseball right now with the wild card. All the trade activity it created back in August with David Cohn, and even the Royals went out and they got rid of a lot of their young players, made some changes there. They were able to unload. Minnesota unloaded a lot of players, so it is another example of how it has spurred more trade activity in the last couple months.
Mattingly hits this ball well toward the gap. It's going to fall and go all the way to the wall. So Don Mattingly, with career double number 440, is in scoring position with 1 out. I'll tell you what, Donnie looks like he's going to try and go out with a bang.
Well, his answer to you, again, the leg kick, I think, has helped him generate a lot more power. Miski, not fleet of foot, does not catch up with that ball. You saw him earlier misplay the Villar. Yep, he's shaking his head. Well, maybe he will be back next year. He's getting some of his power back. But I think Donnie's answer to Michael Kay before the game on the Yankee Scorecard show was take it, as he said, he's just trying to focus in on taking care of Scott Carl tonight.
Now Gerald Williams started in center, moved to left, high from Carl. Gerald has walked and struck out. Yankees have their 5th run, 1 single away from home plate. High to short right center field. Mattingly shows tag, but he won't go. Much too shallow as Miski grabs it.
Again, Al, talking about the Don Mattingly situation is, when other players it's near the end of the year and you talk to front office general managers, you get a little bit of a read on what the options are for the next year with a player. I went through that with Harmon Killebrew during the latter stages of his career. You cannot get the Yankees, primarily because the owner hasn't committed at all, to make one statement about what the possibilities might be for Don Mattingly next year. They don't even want to address it.
And I think that's been a major failing in how they've handled his situation all season long.
Yeah, I enjoyed those days when you were closer to the owner and the general manager. And in September, I could go up to Whitey Herzog and say, what do you think? Any use for me here next year, or got plans? And they'd sit down and say, well, this is what we might do. So at the end of the season, if you got a chance, to go elsewhere, why do this now? Not putting every player's situation in Mattingly's, but in Donnie's situation, but a lot of times general managers and ownership were able to be more open with their player and talk about the possibility. They might discuss with him, would you like to come back as a part-time player? If not, that cuts out one of the options right there.
Well, reportedly he had that conversation with Michael Kay and said that exact thing. Much less money, much different role. Now Michael Kay says, the Yankees did their part just by giving him his paycheck every 2 weeks.
True.
And beyond that, and that's true. However, this is a very unique situation. In the history of this team, demands that each era has a certain type of player. Well, he's filled the role for this era. 12 years. He's only the 10th captain the franchise has ever had. This one had to be treated differently just for that reason.
Well, it should be, but I think players are accustomed to that, and the money now has made it even more reason why organizations don't feel they owe As Michael Kay said, and you just mentioned, they have paid him the X million dollars a year. So it's not that they owe him, but it would be a classy gesture if they did handle it that way.
Exactly. Two balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs to Bernie Williams. Bernie Williams looks at strike 3, and Scott Carl strands Don Mattingly at second base. We'll head to the bottom of the 6th inning in Milwaukee. The Yankees still up 4-1. Yankees 4, Milwaukee Brewers 1. First of 2 games here in Milwaukee, then the final 3 games of the season in Toronto this weekend. Scott Carl allowing the Yankees their 4 runs. Another rookie, and the Yankees have seen a lot of them lately.
And you see the ERA leaders not too far behind Chad Ogier and Andy Pettit. Mentioned that start of the game, that his last 9 starts have been quite solid. If Matt Mieske does not misplay that ball out there into a triple, he'd probably have a 2-1 or a 3-1 game.
So mentioned last inning, a 1-2-3 inning by Sterling Hitchcock would be a nice move. Now he can face the power part of the Brewers order with no one on base, and Kevin Seitzer takes a first pitch and grounds out 6-3, 1 away. And that is the first assist by the Yankees in the game. So the streak is broken. Jim, this Yankee Stadium deal obviously touches a raw nerve here or there for many people in New York. You've got borough pride and the people who believe in tradition. Obviously, we're not doing talk radio here, but the bottom line is that the Bronx has basically played out its hand. New York City came up with what they thought was the best possible plan for the Bronx, and the Yankees rejected it. So at this point, it's just a matter of facing the reality that Yankee Stadium is just not going to be the home of the Yankees after the year 2002.
Yeah, I assume when you talk West Side, you're talking the choice between there and New Jersey. I think all the plans have been on the table for what could happen in the Bronx, and that does not appear to be something that is going to happen. So I think the next 2 options are out of the city of New York or the West Side, and of those 2, certainly I would think the West Side would be the better option for Yankee fans.
I agree. 3 balls and no strikes to B.J. Surhoff.
Thought about that in Cleveland when you saw the fans leaving from the right field stands right into the parking garage, and that could happen if you could do something like that in the Bronx. But obviously that is not a plan that's going to happen.
People in Jersey would love the ferries that would come over from big parking lots on the far side by some of those abandoned piers. You'd have the path. You'd have the Long Island Railroad, the subways. Hard shot deep to right. This is gone. Sterling Hitchcock on a 3-1 pitch. Groove 1 for B.J. Surhoff. 13th home run of the season, and it's a 4-2 ball game. Well, there aren't too many people to make the noise, but whatever they can, they're doing here.
The maniac.
The maniac, yeah.
Well, that's not as much of a mistake by Sterling Hitchcock as the leadoff walk to Cirillo in the 3rd. I mean, you got a 3-1 count with a 3-run lead. Fire it in there and see what he can do, and that's what he did. So again, solo home runs will, in the long run, not do as much damage as those base on balls.
Now a shot down to first. Mattingly shuffles to Hitchcock, 2 away. Mattingly's had some sure hands out there tonight. Hitchcock has his 2nd out. And that brings up the DH, Joe Oliver, one of the struggling Brewers.
Yeah, some of the, and you can look for a lot of excuses when things have gone south, and it was just, many say coincidental. Some say it had an effect, but the Brewers had a union meeting about 3.5 weeks ago, and the replacement player situation came up. How they were treating him, were they too friendly to them? And Talking with some of the Brewers personnel, they feel like after that meeting, the morale went down a great deal. But like Phil Garner said, hey, that didn't cause Mike Fetters to blow 4 saves, or that's not the reason guys aren't hitting the men on base.
That's one Mattingly couldn't get to. Sprawling to his chest. It goes to right field. It's a 2-out single by Joe Oliver. This was some shot.
Yeah, pitch outside, breaking ball, and just out of the reach of Mattingly. Credit Oliver for going the other way. Haven't been a lot of smiles on the Brewers hitters' faces for a while.
That brings up the alliterative Matt Mieske.
Alliterative, yes. He's another player the Brewers have had high hopes for. His ability to swing the bat. He has not looked good in right field tonight.
Getting the same sense, Jim, from the Milwaukee Brewers that I got with the Detroit Tigers. You know, they're trotting out all their young players, but there don't seem to be too many that stand out and say we've got a bright future here.
They don't have the say a Derek Jeter, Ruben Rivera type players that jump out.
I mean, there's nobody that you hear of where someone comes up to you and says, hey, you got to see.
Right.
There's none of that. I mean, when we went to Kansas City early in the year, that you got to see this guy. Good one. He can fly. At least it gave you something, you know, to hook your teeth into and look forward to. 2 balls and no strikes to Mieske. Runner at first with 2 outs. Prior experience says Hitchcock should focus on the batter. It is a beautiful, cool night here. Temperature in the mid-60s. It was a gorgeous, clear 70-degree day here in Wisconsin. (3-0).
Again, you look at Sterling's motion, and that's characteristic. Just a little glance at the ground, and every now and then, we've seen it a couple times tonight, he just loses command of his pitches for a hitter or two.
Hard shot. Wade Boggs was frozen at third. 2 runners on with 2 out, and 2 very hard hit ground balls by the Milwaukee Brewers. First Joe Oliver, now Matt Mieske. And Nardi Contreras makes the slow walk from the Yankee dugout.
Well, the 4-1 game, the Yankees saw what happened Sunday against the Tigers, and Buck has shown a great deal of faith in the young starters, Hitchcock and Pettit. But it's getting to that stage now where you play every game as if it's the last game of the season. Mariano Rivera begins to loosen, and I'm sure Nardi trying to just, you know, settle him down, buy a little time. Nothing wrong, you know, the pitch to Surhoff, 3-1 fastball, boom. Now Mieske, 3-0, he gets the green light. So the solution's pretty simple. When Sterling gets ahead of hitters, he gets them out. And this inning, he's fallen behind.
And by the way, you know, the immediate reaction might be, having watched Sunday's Yankee game and the game explode in Steve Howe's face, that the Yankees acquire Rick Honeycutt the next day as a knee-jerk reaction to that. But it doesn't appear that that was the case at all. As Gene Michael says, he's been working on this for 12 days, and that deal was happening no matter what happened on Sunday.
Yeah, I think they've seen over a period of time that, and Tony Cloninger said this during the year, that Steve's stuff appears to be okay, but he just hasn't had command of it the way he has in other years.
So that brings up Jeff Cirillo. Back-to-back hits now off of Sterling Hitchcock. He's becoming slightly undone here in the bottom of the 6th inning. 5 Brewers hits. They've got 2 runs to show for it. Off the plate again. Hitchcock got way behind on both of the 2 hitters who were on base, and then gave them something they could hit. One and one. From the who's not category, we have the frightening numbers of Ray Durham and Rich Becker, who provide a sandwich around Jeff Cirillo's snappy 0-45. 1 for 22. Hitchcock falls behind, 2 balls and a strike. This is one of those frustrating innings.
Yeah, because when you see that graphic, 0-45, when you fall behind hitters, even when they're slumping, 2-1, 3-1, 3-0, That's when they do get their hits.
Throw, strikes. Shot to short. Backhanded beautifully. Velarde the long throw in time. What a play by Randy Velarde. That ball was hit hard enough that he had a chance, and from deep in the hole he rifled it across to Don Mattingly chest high. So Sterling Hitchcock strands them both for 2 Yankees.
Randy Velarde ended that 6th inning with a terrific play, Alan. And note what he does with the back foot. See, he plants that back foot and gives him a lot of leverage to throw. See, Tony Fernandez used to throwing the ball on the run. He has a difficult time making that play because he tries to throw it off balance, can't get as much on it. And boy, has he played great at shortstop since the Fernandez injury.
Absolutely. Pat Kelly hitting 9th. Leads it up for the Yankees in the top of the 7th inning. They lead it 4-2 off of rookie starter Scott Carl. Pat Kelly, 1 ball, 1 strike. It was nicely done by Sterling Hitchcock to pitch out of that inning, but as many Yankee starters have had during the recent stretch of winning, he needed some defensive help.
Well, again, we talked about at the start of the game. If he just does a decent job, and he's done that already. You know, in my eyes, Sterling Hitchcock, 6 innings, 2 runs. If he can get 1 more inning, fine. And if not, I mean, you have to have some confidence in those guys in the bullpen to come in and nail it down. You know, there are those that say, wow, you know, what's this stuff about 6 innings? You've done your job. But that's the way the game is played today. Now, from David Cohn and Jack McDowell, you anticipate 8 innings or possibly 9. But to constantly expect that Pettit and Hitchcock are going to do that, that's asking an awful lot of pitchers under 25. Yankees haven't had a pair like this in a long time. So I think you bring your bullpen in a little earlier with starters like that.
I think it's an amazing credit to Andy Pettit and Sterling Hitchcock that when the games really got important, they delivered their best stuff. Now, Pettit did it over a longer period of time. Looks like Mattingly's putting some ice on his wrist, perhaps. This one toward the gap in right center field. Hamilton on the run, and he's not exactly a center fielder you love to see out there. He can't play it. And is this going to feel good for Pat Kelly? It's been a long time since he hit a ball that hard and just kept on running all the way to third base. A leadoff triple for the Yankees.
You're right about Darryl Hamilton, Al. He's primarily a right fielder, and in center gives it his best effort. The Yankees have found the gaps tonight, and an important time for Pat Kelly. Likes the ball down, and that's where he got that one and drove it a long ways. You don't see Pat Kelly with that kind of power to the opposite field very often, and that'll force the Brewers to bring the infield in, and a chance for the Yankees to add to that lead.
Well, Wade Boggs has a tantalizing 5th run, 90 feet from home, and Scott Carl's got himself a problem. 1 ball, no strikes. Now, Jim, I thought I saw this live. Watch him blow a bubble right as he dives. See, unbelievable. He's in mid-flight. He's blowing a bubblegum bubble.
That's a relaxed player.
Unbelievable. Darryl Hamilton, 2 skills at once. You know the old line, you can't chew gum and walk at the same time. He can chew gum, blow bubbles, and try to catch fly balls at the same time. Kelly's at third with nobody out. Shot to first. Jaha plays it, checks Kelly back, and tags out Boggs. We go back to Sunday for a moment. Buck Showalter being called, or actually calling for, looking for Sparky. Sparky didn't see him. Then Alan Trammell told him that Buck was waiting, and Sparky came running across to talk to Buck at the end of the game.
And that's what Sparky conveyed to everyone. They, being the Yankees, are going to win that wild card. They're going to get in. I wouldn't tell Buck that because he's going to worry every day anyway, as Sparky knows himself from worrying through seasons like the 1987 season till the last day. I think most baseball fans feel when they look at the talent and the experience of the Yankee team, they, even though it's not done till you finally clinch it, but I think everyone expects this team to perform well enough this week to nail down that spot.
1-0 to Randy Velarde with 1 out. Phil Garner came out to talk to Buck before the game. He said, boy, you guys are playing great. You're going to get in this thing just like I predicted 4 months ago. Buck said, don't be buttering me up to take 2 from me, pal.
Yeah. Now the Yankees since the end of August 21-7 and the Brewers 6-16. Don Rowe with a long walk to the mound to buy a little time. Rob Dibble, the once hard throwing right-hander, and Kevin Wickander, the lefty, beginning to get loose. Just buying a little time, as Phil Garner said, and you know, he's appreciative of the history they've had here in Milwaukee with their stadium vote coming up tomorrow. But you know what it does to a manager when you stay in a small market. There's no more revenue. You can't increase your payroll, and he's looking for the effort to win like the Yankees get by being able to get some players. Right now, he's had to send out a lot of rookies, a lot of inexperience, some replacement players, and I think for what he had to work with, they got an awful lot of mileage out of that team up until the 1st of September.
Well, if you have a manager of the year conversation, he's got to be part of it. 2 balls, no strikes. The conference on the mound is done. Fouled off, 2-1. Earlier in the game, Bernie Williams was a late show from Puerto Rico. Derek Jeter filled in, made the most out of his 1 at-bat, doubling in the Yankees' first run. You see Paul O'Neill on deck. He had his 21st home run of the season. And the Yankees jumped out to a 4-1 lead. Brewers got one back. It's 4-2 in the 7th.
Kind of interesting here, Al. You see Pat Listash, the shortstop, how he's playing Velarde to pull. Most teams, and because Randy hits the ball the other way so well, most teams shade him the opposite direction. He really has a big hole up the middle.
Carl way outside, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Yeah, the infield is right on the fringe of the grass. A fly ball scores Pat Kelly. Starting to smell those brats again, Jim. The wind has changed direction.
You can hear him cooking on a night like tonight.
Another foul ball. He was right on that one, fouling it straight back.
Well, one of the reasons now when I see the pitching pattern that Listash, and he's conversing with Kevin Seitzer after every pitch, it looks like Carl is really trying to pound that ball in on Velarde, and if they walk him, they'll go ahead and bring probably Wickander in to face O'Neill, so it's they're going to make him hit a perfect pitch or walk him.
Another 3-2. Another foul ball. A long at bat for Randy Velarde. O'Neill's home run was a real blast to right center field. Lost him. Scott Carl, the body language told the story. That is not what he wanted to do. And that brings up a man who blasted one of his pitches for a home run back in the 3rd inning, Paul O'Neill.
And Garner will make the move. Yes, it's left-hander for left-hander, but because of that that home run you mentioned it. Well, it almost went to the hotel.
It was in that direction.
Yes. Garner is going to make the move and bring in more experienced left-hander Kevin Wickander.
So it's going to be a lefty against lefty. Phil Garner hopes that's a matchup that goes his way.
The time to save on
4-2 Yankees with runners at the corners, 1 out. Phil Garner brings in Kevin Wickander to face Paul O'Neill. Let's go back to 1993 and look at the adjustment that Paul O'Neill has made in 2 years. We've talked about his leg kick, but in 1993, if you watch the knee comes up to that position. Now watch in 1995. See, not a big difference, but yet a noticeable difference of Paul O'Neill, and it goes back to what Don Mattingly is trying to do, like so many hitters. Get the high knee kick, which helps you stay behind the ball. See, a much more powerful finish in that last swing, which happened this year, than the one 2 years ago.
Well, Paul O'Neill is waiting for Kevin Wickander to make his last warm-up tosses. The 30-year-old was picked up on waivers, put there by the Detroit Tigers. In limited duty with Milwaukee, he has faced 6 inherited runners. None have scored. Here's the crunch by Paul O'Neill back in the 3rd inning. It gave the Yankees a 4-0 lead. And as we mentioned before, when Paul O'Neill starts hitting with power to the gaps like that, he's getting back on track. That would be nice timing for the team if Paul did that. One ball, no strikes. Bill Garner going lefty against lefty. Randy Velarde's on at first. He walked. Pat Kelly tripled.
And you can bet the one thing Paul O'Neill is trying to do right in this at bat, he tried it with that swing, is to get something he can lift. You know his double play numbers, and he wants to get something thigh high that he knows he can lift to the outfield and at least get 1 run home and stay away from the ground ball.
Still leading the league with 25 GIDPs. Just missed. 2 balls and a strike. Yankees looking to move up a game and a half on the California Angels, who lost the game in hand that they had on the Yankees this afternoon to Seattle. O'Neill sends one to center field. Hamilton on the run grabs it, but Pat Kelly will score easily. That was a well-hit ball by Paul O'Neill. Sac fly, RBI, 5-2 New York.
At this stage of the game, the Yankees will take that trade, and O'Neill did exactly what he wanted. Pitched down and away, but you could see almost the uppercut swing. Paul's very aware of those grounded into double plays, and he goes down and lifts that. You said, Al, his timing is on when he's hitting to the gaps. The home run to right center and the sacrifice fly to left center.
So Paul O'Neill delivers his 91st RBIs, bringing up Ruben Sierra, who's 0 for 3, flying out, lining out, grounding out. He's done it all. Velarde draws a throw. Oh, absolutely, Jim. Feel free to add on those home run RBIs if you want. That's right. I forgot the 2 RBIs earlier in the game. It's 93 RBIs now for O'Neill.
Now we're seeing a lot of hitters accomplish some things that are difficult to do in a 162 game season, and to get 100 RBIs in 144 games.
Now there are so many well-founded reasons to be mad at baseball, it's not even funny. But as the season winds down and you realize that none of the numbers that are being put up this year mean anything in comparison to the history of the game, that's just unthinkable that they could have gone with this, but they did.
The asterisks all over the place.
I mean, if you hit 62 home runs, that would have been something, but that's one of the few.
Well, of course, Maris's year, they played 162, but now 144 was going to be the norm for the next couple of decades. That would be different also, but this is going to just be that one unusual year when none of the statistics you can relate to any other year.
1-2 to Sierra. It's the photographers ducking here at County Stadium. Just a few thousand on hand. Another foul ball. Boy, have there been enough foul balls in this inning? Randy Velarde alone. And now Sierra's getting into it. Kevin Wickander relieving Scott Carl. Carl 6 1/3, allowing 8 hits, and will be charged for the 5 runs. Stanley on deck. Another souvenir.
Again, that Yankee run this inning is big from Buck Showalter's standpoint, because as he looks at the last 3 innings. If it were still a 4-2 ball game, then any Brewer base runner obviously puts the tying run at the plate. That means Garner could go to his bench and try to bring up that guy that could knock the ball out of the ballpark. But Gene Monahan applying a little tape to the bat.
Sierra too short. They get the force, retiring Ruben Sierra. But the Yankees get a run, another. Paul O'Neill's sac fly RBI drives in Pat Kelly. At 5-2 Yankees will head to the bottom of the 7th. New York Yankees baseball is brought to you in part by the Discovery Channel. Explore your world. Someday on the Discovery Channel they'll have a special. How are bubbles made? Al Trautwig in for Dave Cohen with Jim Cott back at County Stadium. Sterling Hitchcock sent out there by Buck Showalter to pitch the bottom of the 7th inning.
Well, and what this has done for Buck Showalter by having the 3-run lead, and now the Brewers send the bottom of the order up. He is in hopes that Sterling Hitchcock can get through the 7th inning, and even if he gives up a base runner, it doesn't bring the tying run to the plate. So he's got a little more margin for error in the 7th, and then he can close it out with a bullpen in 8th and 9th.
Buck himself has been playing hurt. He's had a vicious stomach virus for the last 3 days. Rip shot. Whoa. The reflexes of Wade Boggs. He barely had to move. Just lifted the glove up and off the bat of Pat Listash to the glove of Wade Boggs, one away. A rocket.
Well, Pat Listash been falling behind 0-2, 1-2 and striking out. He said, I'm jumping on the first fastball.
Jump on it he did. That brings up Mike Matheny. Remember a month ago the Milwaukee Brewers were right there in the wild card race, as close as a half a game. Now their record in comparison is staggering. Milwaukee 64-74. And remember when we were talking about, Jim, it would take a 500 record or something near there to get the wild card, and here the Yankees are 74-65, looking to win here tonight and go 10 games above 500, and still don't know if that's enough.
Yeah, the fear was that the wild card was going to reward a team with a mediocre record, but going to be able to look back at past history and see division winners that weren't as far over 500 as maybe the wild card teams will be. Houston making a late run in the National League also have a soft schedule this week, playing Pittsburgh and then the Cubs, and they've moved up to 8 games over 500.
Well, there's definitely some bad blood brewing between the Dodgers and the Rockies too. That thing's real tight out west. Out to left field. Gerald Williams coming on and making the catch. Well, teams of destiny make plays like these, and Gerald Williams got the step. Oh, this is nice.
Well, that's why catching the ball, having the best team in the field, especially in these close games. We've seen Mattingly tonight take a couple of base hits away, and here's Gerald Williams with a big catch for the second out. He got a great jump on the ball and shows you his athletic ability.
So with 2 outs, top of the order, Darrell Hamilton.
It's been that kind of game because the Brewers outfielders not quite as fast or with that athletic ability. Some of those balls have fallen in or gone to the gaps.
1 ball, 1 strike. Well, this is the time of year when you start talking about defense. We did it earlier in the game, and the Yankees really showing off some defensive stuff in this one. Fouled off. Hitchcock ahead of Hamilton, 1-2. Only 8,618 here tonight.
That's what the politicians will look at tomorrow when they say, what? You want a new stadium?
Ground ball. Kelly gets a nice hop, and that's a job well done by Sterling Hitchcock. Through 7 now. He gets a 1-2-3er, and the Yankees lead it 5-2. Yankees baseball brought to you in part by the United States Postal Service. We deliver smart solutions for you. Yes, there are many Yankee fans here at County Stadium, and boy, the Brewers are lucky, because if the Yankees weren't here with all their fans, we'd have less than 8,600. New pitch from the ball game. Ron Reitnauer in for the Milwaukee Brewers. Got a major league victory, his first early in the season. Went to New Orleans, now back up, and one of the replacement players that has been part of the undercurrent of some of Milwaukee's problems late in the season.
Yeah, I think after the player meeting, there was some encouragement from the association, maybe not to be quite as friendly toward the replacement players, and they felt it. You can talk to them, and they felt it. But Phil Garner says to use that for an excuse as to why we haven't played well, he doesn't think that's the case. Brian Gibbons, who will start tomorrow's game for the Brewers, also a replacement player.
8th inning, big game. Yankees up 5-2. Mike Stanley leads it off for New York. Stanley 0 for 3, struck out 2 flyouts. Reitnauer has given up exactly a hit per inning. Brushes Stanley away. Mattingly on deck. We saw Donnie as we watched this one. It's like not chin music, it's like elbow music. But Mattingly's on deck, and we saw him wrap the foam rubber around the bat as if to protect, it looked like the palm of his right hand. That's a foul ball.
Yeah, and you go back in the scorecard and look at the at-bats, and usually when you see a hitter do that, you figure he must have got jammed. And then Donnie's first at-bat tonight, he hit a ground ball to second base that was right in on the hands, and that would be the logical thing with that top hand, that he just the bat jammed in between that thumb and forefinger. Get a little bruise down in the crotch of that area, thumb and forefinger.
Of course, Stanley grips the bat in a way which to me would be the most uncomfortable way to hold a baseball bat, with the pinky actually over the knob at the end.
Yeah, what hitters want to do is feel the weight of the bat, and by doing that, it makes that barrel end feel a little heavier. Of course, that's where that hamate bone injury has come from.
Leadoff walk for the Yankees, always a good sign. That brings up Don Mattingly. Mattingly's average up to 287, nudged up by his efforts over the past week and a half when he's been hitting over 300. Had a double earlier in the game that was a well-hit shot to the gap. Also reached on an infield single, bouncing a ground ball off the shin of starter Scott Karl. Donnie thinking about bunting.
He's showing bunt, and actually a quick peek at Mike Matheny's sign. Looked like Matheny gave the pitch out sign. And Phil Garner out of the dugout right now. I think they thought that maybe that the Yankees had the hit and run on. Yeah, it looked like the pitch. Now let's see what Matheny does if he starts moving outside. No, he doesn't. So the pitch out sign wasn't on. And maybe as the umpire came to the mound, maybe Garner saw something in Reitnauer's pitching motion that he injured himself. But the one thing Mattingly has been able to do in these situations, we saw it during the recent homestand. He knows right now the hole is open between first and second, and no matter where the pitch is, he's had the ability to even outside reach out and hook it down the line. That's his goal right here.
Big hole it is. Cirillo sliding up 15 yards from the bag. 2 balls and a strike. Meanwhile, the pitch that Donnie showed bunt on was a great-looking fastball right down the middle. I can't believe it wasn't a strike. Gerald Williams on deck. Another foul ball. Well, there's been so many. This is almost guaranteed foul ball night.
Everybody will get one.
2 balls, 2 strikes, none out. Yankees looking to build and add a 4th insurance run. Full count now to Don Mattingly.
Should give Buck a chance to start Mike Stanley. 3-2 count. Confidence Mattingly can make contact.
Stanley goes. Mattingly swings. The throw is there in time. It's a strike him out, throw him out for the Milwaukee Brewers. Buck Showalter trying to use whatever little speed there is from Mike Stanley.
And very unusual for Mattingly to do this. You see the ball sink down and away, and the disgust on Mattingly's face. Stanley's an easy out. But I know Don Mattingly, his numbers have not been up to par this year hitting, but he is still one of the tougher hitters to strike out. So that's a situation you figure the Yankees have the edge in, and right now it gets him.
Facing Gerald Williams in there for a strike. Yes, Mattingly is still the 5th toughest batter to strike out in the American League. Lance Johnson leads the way. Then it's Baerga, Cora, Greenwell, and Mattingly. Strikes out only once every 14.3 times to the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. Out in the Yankee bullpen. Let's see.
A new acquisition, Rick Honeycutt and Mariano Rivera, who had been up earlier.
Gerald Williams really gets behind that one. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Right after we wrap up our coverage here from County Stadium, Bob Page has a wrap on the full day in sports from the MSG Sports Desk. It's time to start thinking NBA already, and
really,
hockey's right around the corner.
That's true. Tate George, who is a big Yankee fan out of UConn, was in the hotel lobby today talking about the Yankees. They're coming in for the Bucks for a little preseason camp.
Of course, they're playing the last game ever at Boston Garden tonight. It's a hockey game, and they'll have a brand new arena in Boston. Gerald Williams looks at strike 3, and the Yankees are done. Took a little gamble with Mike Stanley and Don Mattingly. That didn't work. We'll head to the bottom of the 8th inning. Yankees 5, Brewers 2 on MSG. Back on MSG, Sterling Hitchcock allows 2 runs on 5 hits and gives the Yankees 7 full solid innings. And Buck Showalter has given Mariano Rivera the call. Rivera pitched on Sunday, retired all 5 batters he faced. By then the game was out of reach. Before that, he hadn't pitched in a while and hasn't started for the Yankees since the 5th of September. Let MCS Kenneth show us the possibilities on the Milwaukee bench.
Possibilities from the left side. You've got David Hulse with some speed, Dave Nielsen with a little power, and then Singleton and Vigna, a couple of switch hitters, and Mark Loretta, rookie infielder, of course Greg Vaughn. So right now, Buck, this could be a 1-batter appearance for Mariano Rivera should he not retire Seitzer. Honeycutt is getting ready. Surhoff the next hitter.
Nothing there really that strikes fear in your heart, though. I mean,
well, Greg Vaughn, despite having a bad year, if you get the tying run to the plate, he still has that kind of ability. And there's Honeycutt and Wickman, both loosening.
Rivera, 1 ball and 1 strike now to the leadoff man in the inning, 2nd hitter in the order, Kevin Seitzer. Kevin has doubled and driven in a run. Ground ball, it's going to get through. Well, Seitzer gets another hit, and Milwaukee's got the leadoff man on.
Outside part of the plate, but it looked like maybe a slider with a little flat break, or a fastball that was sailing that way, and that'll be a 1-batter appearance for Mariano Rivera.
Yes, sirree. They got Rick Honeycutt and paid $58,000 for him to get out lefties. He's been doing it all year, and with B.J. Surhoff coming to the plate, that's exactly what Buck Showalter wants him to come into the game and do. Get the lefty out. back at County Stadium in Milwaukee. We are about to see the Yankee debut of 41-year-old Rick Sutcliffe. This year with the Oakland A's, Rick Honeycutt, going 5-1 with a ERA just over 2. And Jim, what he did against left-handed hitters was something else.
Well, that's exactly when Gene Michael scanned the rosters and said who could help. Here's a guy with that 3/4 delivery. You see him getting Strawberry there on a ground ball. Lefty's just hitting a $183 against him. So this is a nice matchup because B.J. Surhoff is not the easiest left-hander to get out. There's what Rick did during his 49 games with the Oakland A's. As he told you, Al, he didn't want to finish last season with the kind of performance he had, and this year he's come back.
Well, if I was going to have a Freudian slip, at least I slipped with the name of another guy who lasted a long time.
Yes, Rick Sutcliffe. But Surhoff is, you know, normally his average against lefties is even better than against righties.
George Steinbrenner having a good old time with Jerome Holtzman, longtime Chicago sports writer.
But against getting back to Surhoff and his success or lack of against lefties, that's what he's done up until the 20th of July. Then the average has gone down, and against Rick Honeycutt, 0 for 9. So a good matchup for the Yankees.
Surhoff has a home run and 2 pop-up outs. Honeycutt will pitch or be available to pitch in the 5 remaining regular season games, and then that's it. He showed up this afternoon in his Levi's shirt.
Yeah, you have to wear one of those playing for the Oakland A's.
Yeah, and cowboy boots. I'm trying to figure out what kind of cowboy boots they were. It'll come to me in a minute. Snakeskin or something.
Ostrich.
That's what it was. Had a brief chat with Buck and then got his number from Nick Priori. He's behind to Surhoff, 2-0.
Yeah, this too could be a one-hitter appearance. And Buck would want Rick Honeycutt to face John Jaha as the tying run.
Buck's on the top step. His level of interest is definitely up. Runner at first, nobody out. And Honeycutt goes 3-0. Mr. Local guy who's done well, Bob Wickman, warming up in the bullpen. Rick Honeycutt on a long list of 40-year-olds who were acquired by the Yankees at that stage in their career. One of those on the list is seated to my right. Couldn't get the 3-0 pitch into the strike zone. Well, Rick Honeycutt's debut is less than glamorous, and Buck Showalter is coming out. Yes, it's a 1-batter appearance for Rick Honeycutt. 2 on, and the potential tying run coming to the plate. That's John Jaha, and Bob Wickman will trot in. Well, that's not exactly the way the script said it was going to go. So Mariano Rivera faces Kevin Seitzer, allows the single. Surhoff walks off of Honeycutt. 3rd pitcher of the inning coming up. Yankees 5, Milwaukee 2, but threatening here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Buck Showalter's gone to his bullpen for a 3rd time, bringing in Bob Wickman, one of the guys who struggled on Sunday. Came in for Andy Pettit in the 8th inning. Travis Fryman hit his first pitch for a 2-run single that tied the game, his 8th blown save of the season. Jim, I would guess the mission here for Buck is A, win this game, but restore some confidence in this guy's mind.
Yeah, and Bob Wickman came in on Sunday and really threw to Travis Fryman a basic ground ball, but it went up the middle for a base hit. And he is that type of pitcher, though Jaha is a lifter. He doesn't hit a lot of ground balls. Wickman would just like to get another ground ball like he did from Fryman, only at somebody.
Jaha at 303, singled earlier in the game and has grounded to only 6 double plays all season. Yankees 5, Milwaukee 2. 8 hits and 6 for Milwaukee. Inside and off the plate. It was Rivera who allowed the single to Seitzer to kick off the inning. Then Honeycutt made his Yankee debut and walked Surhoff on 4 pitches.
getting to that time of the year, Al, where it'd be interesting to see if Buck Showalter will stretch John Wetland out to more than just the 9th inning. I know, going back to my experience under Whitey Herzog, he limited. In those days, the closer would go 2, but seldom 3. But you preserve your short relievers till you get down to this time of the year, and then you say, okay, there are 5 games left. Why can't I get 2 innings out of them? And it'd be interesting to see whether Wetland begins to loosen here. As a matter of fact, he is in the 8th inning.
1-0 pitch, punch through the right side. O'Neill comes up looking to throw, and the Brewers play it cautious. They know O'Neill's got a great arm. So the bases are loaded with nobody out. This time it was the second pitch that was hit for a single.
Again, another ground ball pitched down and away, but this one hit sharply into right field. In fact, so sharply that Duffy Dyer, the third base coach, had to hold up Kevin Seitzer at third.
That brings up Joe Oliver. Oliver came in the midst of a brutal slump, but singled in his last at bat, 1 for 3. Hitting .275. They're all full and nobody's out. This is the potential go-ahead run at the plate. And Wickman misses on the first pitch.
Yeah, and having used Rick Honeycutt for just the one hitter, now there's a lefty off the Brewer bench that can do some damage, Dave Nilsson.
Teams in Major League history with 10 grand slams in a season, joining the 38 Tigers and the 87 Yanks.
And Nilsson has one of those.
One ball and 2 strikes. And the Yankees have allowed 8 grand slams this season. A list that includes 1, 2, 3, 5 other teams. In his home state, Bob Wickman. Did he go? No. The appeal down to first. Tim McClellan calls it safe. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You're getting about as much noise as 8,000 plus can make in a situation like this.
Yeah, perfect pitch by Wickman trying to get Oliver to chase, and he just held up in time.
Punch to Kelly. 1 will score. Yankees turn it 4-6-3. The run comes across in Kevin Seitzer. It's a 5-3 ball game. That's a huge ground ball out gotten by Bob Wickman.
Well, and Bob Wickman now 3 straight hitters has gotten 3 ground balls. Fryman's went up the middle, Jaha's to right, and finally he gets one at somebody for a double play, and that enables Buck Showalter to keep John Wetland out there. I think had Oliver been able to reach, we would have seen John Wetland come in to this situation. So a big double play out by Bob Wickman.
And very subtly on that play, Jim, Randy Velarde did a great job of avoiding that slide. That was a tough slide put on him by Jaha, and he got the throw no problem to Mattingly. So now Dave Nilsson will pinch hit with a runner at third and 2 away. Way outside, 1-0. Single, walk, single, double play. That's been the Brewers inning. Another soft ground ball. Boggs has to release it quickly. Gets it. No. The Yankees don't get the call, and the Brewers have a 4th run on the board. Well, if Wade Boggs can't make this play the way he's been playing lately. He just can't make it.
See that extra little grab in the glove. It took him just an extra tick to get rid of the ball. And you see the most interested spectator, and he thought he might have been out, but credit Dave Nilsson for really hustling from step one out of the box. You don't anticipate Nilsson, that kind of body, and catchers not known for their speed.
Well, it wasn't a matter of the Yankees not getting the call. He was safe on the replay.
No question. You could see in Wade reaching in the glove. It took him just an extra split second to get a comfortable grip on it.
It's getting almost to the amazing stage, the ground balls, and we have a pinch runner.
Wayne Singleton, one of their rookies, called up in September.
It's getting to the amazing stage what damage Bob Wickman's ground balls can do.
That's the woes of a sinker ball pitcher. I mean, you keep on throwing ground ball after ground ball and hope that enough of them are hit at people.
2 runs in the Brewers half of the 8th. Jeff Cirillo. Charge to Rivera, 1-run charge to Honeycutt. Stanley gets to it quickly, and so Singleton can advance.
Nice block by Mike Stanley, and it's a situation you would anticipate Singleton trying to steal. He's 1 for 1. You see Stanley get the body out and block it, but in the minor leagues, 31 for 46. Not a high percentage, but it tells you he does have the speed.
Well, Sunday's loss was quite painful to watch, the way the Yankees blew a 3-run lead, and they're trying to prevent that from happening again. They had the 3-2 lead coming into the inning, the 3-run lead coming into the inning, 5-2. 2-0. And it's uncanny. If the leadoff man gets on, look out. There's one of those tags of Mattingly. Guy was clearly in. Put it on him anyway. John Wetland working off some of those brats he had before the game. Runner off. Shot McKelly just beyond his grasp. Singleton gets the green light at third. Now gets the red light. Yankees missed the cutoff man. Went over Pat Kelly's head. Mattingly grabbed it. Singleton could have scored. The Yankees catch a break.
Yeah, they catch a break with a rookie base runner. Bernie Williams comes over, and just as you called it, Al, as Singleton makes the turn with a quick glance, he's going full speed, and Dyer is waving him home. And for some reason, he stops. Bernie Williams overthrew the primary cutoff man, and because of that, he could have scored that run easily.
Jim, I thought I saw Dyer switch the signal. I may be wrong about that.
At the last minute, and I don't whether Duffy thought all of a sudden the throw was getting into the infield quicker than he anticipated, but when Singleton was close to third, this might be a little time-buying situation right now as Mattingly talks to Wickman, and Garner is going to announce his pinch hitter, and Buck will go to his closer.
Yes, he will. Yankees holding on to the slimmest of leads. That wasn't a ground ball that got Bob Wickman in trouble. It was a well-hit ball. And John Wetland, whose stuff lately has been amazing, is going to enter this game. Nothing Gene Michael can do about it now. So John Wetland makes his way in from the bullpen here at County Stadium. He's got a runner at third, a runner at first, and 2 out, and a 1-run lead. Very critical point of the game. Runners at first and third for Milwaukee with 2 away, and the Yankees hanging on. If you'd like like to watch tonight's game again, you can. Yankees Rewind comes your way tonight on MSG at midnight.
A lot of those around the stadiums, wherever the Yankees have gone.
So here comes John Wetland with a very distracting 1-5 one-loss record with an ERA of 3.05. Had a great first stretch of the season, then lost his stuff a bit, but in the last 2 weeks or so, all 96 miles an hour of his fastball has been right on target.
Yeah, and as you see the infield right now, David Hulse, who has outstanding speed and is a good bunter. You know, John Wetland, one of the more difficult pitchers to hit, might be thinking drop down a bunt to try to tie the game.
Wetland misses on the first pitch, and he seemed to recognize the loose dirt on the mound there for a moment.
Yeah, he has a longer stride like Scott Carl did. Hitchcock did not have that long stride, so the hole where the plant foot it wasn't a problem.
Foul back, 1-1.
Certainly not any indication of trying to bunt on that one, and you can see why. Good pinch hitting numbers, but Boggs and Mattingly are still going to be alert for that.
David Hulse, and this gives you another idea of the options that Phil Garner has. Hulse comes off the bench, big situation, pinch hitter. He's 5 for his last 39, hitting 128. That was a fast ball.
Well, that's why, you know, bunting, to most managers will say, hey, don't bunt, try to get the drive 2 runs home and win the ball game. But when you're hitting against John Wetland, sometimes a bunt might be your best option. Not that that pitch would be easy to bunt either.
Two balls and 2 strikes. The Brewers have 4 singles and a walk in the inning.
Surprised that Phil Garner has not started the runner at first. You don't want to run out of the inning and waste a pinch hitter, but Wetland is usually easy to steal against, and that would put the lead run in scoring position.
Just got it. And that's pretty mild compared to some of the stuff Phil Garner does in games at times.
Yeah. Well, he said he's not run as much this year or hit and run. But even with base runners that don't have good speed, that's one thing Buck Showalter always fears when Wetland comes into the game. He said, I know they're just going to run on him. And Garner hasn't tried it yet.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Got him. David Hulse is struck out by John Wetland. What a weapon that fastball is right now for the Yankees. They strand 2 but score 2. It's a 1-run game as we head to the 9th. Back at County Stadium, Yankees hanging on to a 5-4 lead. This is Bob Wickman, who had another disastrous outing. But this single to center field that most likely should have scored the tying run, but the Brewers changed it up. And watch George Steinbrenner as he watches Bob Wickman. And Wickman had come from behind or come to behind home plate to cover, so he was standing right where.
I thought maybe he was gesturing at Duffy Dyer for not chasing that no chance.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
And actually Wickman again, you know, with a ground ball to Wade Boggs, just a half step from getting out of the inning, and then the Brewers get a line drive. David Hulse goes into left, so Surhoff moves over to right field. And on the infield, they also bring in rookie Mark Loretta.
In fairness to Wickman, I mean, this is a bottom line world. He missed getting out of the inning by less than half a step. Bernie Williams fly to center field and struck out. Returning a little bit late, but returning nonetheless from Puerto Rico. That would have been a costly mistake by Bernie Williams had he not hit Pat Kelly, and that allowed the run to score. Had he hit Pat Kelly, it would have been a very close play at the plate. Bernie takes it right off the ankle. You can hear it from up here. Bernie screamed out in pain the moment it hit. But he walks it off and takes first base. Ron Reitnauer hitting Bernie Williams.
Boy, you could hear that. Bernie thought bunt, but fortunately it just looked like it got him on the top of the foot.
Let's listen.
I say fortunately it still hurts, but it's not like on the ankle bone. I think he's going to run it off a little, make sure he can run, because the obvious choice right here, Seitzer over to talk to Ron Reitnauer, the pitcher, and the obvious choice is the sacrifice bunt by Pat Kelly. So Bernie wants to make sure those wheels are loosened up.
Well, there's another side of Bernie Williams. Bernie's a good, solid human being. Most guys get hit in a situation like that. It's expletive deleted. Bernie goes, ow.
Yeah.
So that brings up Pat Kelly. Pat tripled in the 7th inning and was brought home by Paul O'Neill. Kelly shows bunt, pulls it back, ball 1.
And as you look at the Brewers alignment right now, if he makes, of course, Kevin Seitzer is charging, but if he makes Seitzer field the ball and Bernie gets a good jump, he can go from first to third on a sacrifice with his speed.
Kelly gets it out in front of the plate. Reitnauer picks it up and throws, and Pat Kelly sacrifices Bernie Williams over to the second as the Yankees try to build an insurance run here.
He's the best the Yankees have in that department. You see Seitzer charge from third, and then they make Jaha field the ball. Seitzer quickly retreats, but the job gets done. No chance for Bernie to advance to third, but that's what the Yankees were after, getting a runner into scoring position.
Nice night for Pat Kelly. Triples and brings in a run that the Yankees obviously desperate in need of at the time, and now with that run being their lead. 0-1 to Wade Boggs. Singled and scored a run, the average at .326. Ball was lost for a moment, but recovered by Matheny.
Yeah, the Brewers got a little break there by the shin guards of Mark Johnson. Nothing he could do about it, but that ball had scooted past. It looked like it scooted past Matheny. Got underneath it. It caught Mark Johnson on the shin guard, or Williams would have been able to advance to third.
One ball and 2 strikes. Wade 9 for his last 16 with runners in scoring position. That's how things have been going for him lately.
They shade him a little toward left center.
Way outside, count square, 2-2. We've got 1 out in the 9th inning. Bernie Williams is on at second. Randy Velarde is on deck. Yankees used 4 pitchers in the bottom of the 8th inning. There was some big sighs of relief, I'm sure, from Rivera, Honeycutt, and Wickman when Wetland got that strikeout.
I think that's why you're going to see in these next 4 games, or at least until the Yankees can wrap up this wild card spot, which could happen on Friday if they keep winning, you're going to see Buck go to John Wetland in that 8th inning whenever necessary.
Again, the Yankees' magic number is 5. Any combination of their wins and California Angels losses totaling 5 means the Yankees are in. Wade Boggs again works the count full. He's amazing in getting this done.
Well, and pitchers know it. They know he's such a good two-strike hitter. So with a lot of other hitters, you just say, okay, 2 strikes, I challenge you with my best pitch. But against him, they're trying to make that perfect pitch. And he often gets these 3-2 counts.
Boggs sends it out to short, center field. Backing up is the shortstop, Loretta. He pulls it in, and there can be no advance. So Wade Boggs goes down, leaving the last opportunity for Randy Velarde. Randy's got a single, a triple, an RBI, and a walk. The triple was debatable. Could have easily gone single, two-base error, but he got the benefit of the doubt. Right down Main Street, strike 1.
Well, he's sitting in a nice spot tonight, hitting second, because Paul O'Neill with the home run sacrifice fly. If you're Ron Reitnauer, you're certainly not going to pitch around Velarde. You're going to challenge him, so Randy can dig in and expect to get something to hit.
That's a good point. Randy doesn't often get that advantage. Breaking ball way low, 1-1.
Yeah, when you hit down in the 8th spot, and with Pat Kelly struggling with the bat the way he has this year, then pitchers are more apt to work around you. But even though that pitch was low, I would expect in this at bat he's going to get something in the fat part of that zone that he can whack at.
Yankees really want that run that's out there. Give John Wetland a little room to work with. Reitnauer lost that one high and inside. So it's 2 balls and a strike. Three balls and a strike with Paul O'Neill on deck.
Yankees will take this. The Brewers brought Kevin Wickander in earlier, left-hander. Graham Lloyd, the lanky left-hander, still bothered by finger problems.
Oh boy. What an opportunity now for the Yankees as Paul O'Neill steps in.
And Phil Garner going to go to his bullpen, and even though it's not a left-hander, he's going to try to bring in somebody that throws a little harder, and that's Rob Dibble.
Rob Dibble, once a teammate of Paul O'Neill in Cincinnati, will come in to face his old mate. A day where O'Neill's been swinging the bat well. Reitnauer leaves. 2 men on. The Yankees threatening to make a little bit more noise in this game. It's the Yankees baseball brought to you in part by the new Dodge. See your local Dodge dealer today. Well, they're not exactly riveted by their Brewers here in Milwaukee. You scan the sports pages today, Jim, you really have to struggle to find a sentence about the Brewers. They're all over the Packers and the Bucks, and not much talk about the Brewers right now beyond the stadium and their future. Rob Dibble.
Now, Rob Dibble fought with the Brewers earlier this season when he was a member of the White Sox. A pitch started a bench-clearing brawl. Then he joined them and went to the minor leagues. Tried to get straightened out. And look at the walk total coming back from surgery on the shoulder. And as you mentioned, he and Paul O'Neill teammates on that 1990 championship Cincinnati team.
It's almost up near 2 walks an inning. O'Neill with a sac fly, 2-run home run, 3 RBIs in the game, giving him 93 for the year. In there for strike 1. The guys from Pearl River, New York, who make those Paul O'Neill banners at Yankee Stadium were in attendance at tonight's game, and reportedly Rob Dibble was considering holding one up in the Brewers bullpen to make fun of O'Neill in between innings, so he didn't do that.
That's where Paul's home run went, and he knows, facing his former teammate, exactly what he's going to get. Dibble, with those arms and legs flailing, comes right at you with A fastball as hard as he can throw it. Got Paul to reach for that one.
Well, let's see if he challenges again with the hard stuff. It's a 2-strike count. Moves him off a bit. Bernie Williams is at second, getting hit by a pitch. Randy Velarde walked. Got a piece of it, and Matheny holds on to it. Rob Dibble gets Paul O'Neill on 4 pitches to close out the Yankee half of the ninth. Well, now it's up to John Wetland to hold on to a 5-4 lead as the Yankees strand 2. The Yankees lead the Milwaukee Brewers 5-4. John Wetland's out there to get his 6th save in a row in as many opportunities. Yankees looking to move a game and a half up on the California Angels. That's what they'll do if they win this one here tonight in Milwaukee. Bill Garner checking things out. What he came up with was Fernando Vina, the one-time Met, to pinch hit. Vina's hitting .245. And Wetland comes right at him with a strike.
Yeah, that's an important pitch. It always is, the first one, but especially against Vina. Small strike zone. You figure he's going to take or look to bunt off Wetland to get on base. Boggs in at third.
1-1. The sound of Mike Stanley's mitt when that ball from John Wetland hits it is something. And the crowd doing its best not to drown out that sound. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And tonight they can hear that glove pop out in right field. 8,000 announced. About half of them left.
In contrast to the atmosphere, a big game for the Yankees with only 4 left after this. 1-2 to Vina. High above home plate, Stanley will not have a play. Oh, nice move by the fan, reaching around the screen to grab it.
Must be a season ticket holder. He knew exactly how to play that role.
Home field advantage.
Yeah, nice form. Grab, reach around the screen.
Vina's got the goatee that all his ex-Met mates had when this season started. I remember a long time ago when the Yankees were allowed to wear goatees. Wetland misses. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. John's quite a sight now. Just about every game, stadium allowing, he gets all decked out, helmet included, and roller blades for about an hour. How he doesn't hit anybody in some of these stadiums with all the workers moving stuff into position is beyond me. He gets Vina to fly to center field. Bernie Williams is under it, and Vina, the pinch hitter, flies out. Now Bill Garner's checking out his availabilities.
And Buck doesn't have to check out. He can sit back and relax. It's in Wetland's hands.
I doubt he's relaxing.
Well, that's,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Trying to give you the appearance he's relaxed. He won't relax until maybe Friday night.
This is his best option without a doubt. And the option he went with to close out the bottom of the 8th inning. Desperate times, desperate things.
Oh, and that's why you try to preserve your pitching staff until every manager will say, just get me to September with a chance to win, and then you go from there.
Darrell Hamilton swinging at strike 1. It's 1-1, held on to by Stanley. It's got a little nibble on it.
Yeah, right through. That's that fastball. The hitters will say with good finish. It's got a lot of life to it when it gets down near the hitting area.
On the corner inside. That's a tough pitch. 1-2. Hamilton's only gotten on base tonight by getting hit by a pitch.
Yeah, the movement took it right back across. You could see it covered the knees, and it moved back across the plate.
Breaking pitch, grounded to Mattingly. Foot race with Hamilton, plays it by himself, taking no chances, and there are 2 Brewers out in the 9th.
Mattingly quick glances at John Wetland and said, yeah, why take a chance on a throw and a bang-bang play? And a good decision.
That brings up Kevin Seitzer, 2 hits on the night, a double and a single, driving in a run. He's at 310. Coming into the game, Seitzer was 2 for his last 12, so now he's 4 for his last 16. He was part of that rally in the 8th inning. Actually started it off with his single off of Mariano Rivera. Rivera gave up the single to him, then Honeycutt walked the batter. Wickman came in. Single, double play, single, single, and it was a 1-run game, closed out by Wetland, who came in the bottom of the 8th, striking out David Hulse. Two balls and a strike. How would you rate John's curveball, Jim?
Well, he hasn't had to use it a lot. I would say in warm weather he's got an outstanding overhand curveball, but a little cooler tonight, a little more difficult to grip the ball.
Three balls and a strike.
Yeah, he threw one on 1-1, and it didn't have that sharp break to it. But most of the time, when it gets down to this time of the year, Surhoff waits on deck. He's going to go primarily with that fastball.
Line shot right at Pat Kelly, and that's it. The ball game is over. It was well hit, but it was right where a Yankee was standing. And John Wetland is now 6 for his last 6. And what a great time it is for this Yankee team that he has found his best, most consistent stuff of the year.
Yeah, that really was the best ball hit off Wetland in a long time. You're so accustomed to seeing him strike everyone out. So Buck went to him and out earlier than normal, and it paid off. He got the big strike out of David Hulse. And that extra run the Yankees posted in the top of the 7th proved out to be the most important one.
Great defense played by Buck Showalter's team tonight. In 2 hours and 57 minutes, they have built up a lead of a game and a half over the California Angels in the wild card race with now 4 games to go. So their magic number is 4. Here you look at the standings, 75 and 65. Kansas City lost today. So did California. Texas leads Oakland by a run in their game. But we're talking miracles now for Texas and Kansas City.
And even California with another Yankee win. Pat Kelly in perfect position. Yeah, the Yankees had the gloves working tonight, and that's been the strong part of their team all year. And in September, it's been the pitching and the defense. And you start analyzing who you think the most valuable member of this ball club is. In September, you see what Wetland can do. It kind of changes your thinking a little bit as to who might be the most valuable Yankee.
Boy, I've really swayed, you know, so many times that at one point it was Mike Stanley and Bernie and John Wetland really emerging now.
Now they missed those fans standing on their feet with 2 strikes like they get in the stadium, but a happy night for all concerned.
Buck Showalter with assistant GM Tim McCleary. And the GM himself, Gene Michael, he made the move to get Rick Honeycutt. Honeycutt made his Yankee debut and walked the only batter he faced. Much more to talk about. Post-game, we'll talk to Paul O'Neill on MSG in a moment. In an atmosphere that was less than exciting in front of only 8,000, the Yankees gave themselves an exciting win, hanging on to beat Milwaukee by a score of 5-2. Sterling Hitchcock gave the Yankees 7 solid innings. He gets his 10th win. So for the first time since '66, the Yankees have 2 pitchers under the age of 25 with 10 wins or more. Scott Carl, the rookie, took the loss. He's now lost 4 of his last 5. He's 5-7. John Wetland, a 6-for-6 streak of getting saves in a row now, 30 on the season. Paul O'Neill hit his 21st of the year, matching the number on his back. B.J. Surhoff went long for the 13th time this season. And for the first time since 1964, or was it 66? Well, anyway, it's been a long time with the pitchers under the age of 25. Now outside the Yankee dugout, Paul O'Neill, the Yankee fans here in attendance from New York want to make you feel comfortable with those banners. And I think that home run you hit would have gone well over the banners at Yankee Stadium. That was a shot to the gap, which I know you love to see.
Well, the way I've been swinging it lately, I'm just trying to hit the ball hard, and yeah, especially with the guy on third, I just want to get him in there. And I was just, I got a good pitch. He got that pitch up, and the ball was carrying well here tonight. It was cool, but the ball's still carrying well here.
Paul, the last time you had a stretch like this, when your average got to exactly 300, you went on a hot streak to boost your average well above it. Do you get into some sort of panic mode when it gets down to 300 that you do something?
Well, at this time of the year and what we're playing for, you know, the numbers are pretty irrelevant at this point. I mean, we're just trying to win games. You know, if you can go 1 for 5 and throw in a big hit and help us win a game at this point, that's all that matters. And I think I'm not the only one that's thinking that way. The guys on the bench are the same way. I mean, we got a lot at stake in these last 4 games, and it's fun to come out and play this way.
Paul, I was reminded of that when your buddy Rob Dibble came in to face you in the last at-bat, but they go back to 1990 when you were on that championship team, and I think all of you have talked about it. It has got to be fun to come to the park in September and have something at stake instead of just playing out the string. And yeah, I think you can almost sense it in the clubhouse atmosphere. Everybody's aware of it, and there's a few more butterflies and tension.
Well, I mean, if you were at the park today at 2 o'clock, the whole team's here. Nobody's at the hotel. Everybody's here wondering what's going on. You know, we just want to find out what's going on. We want to be part of this thing. And, you know, the playoffs are exciting. And you put forth the effort the whole year to try to get there. And it comes down to the last 4 or 5 days. And, you know, if we could just continue, go out and play another one and play a couple more tomorrow, see what's going to happen, I'm sure we all would be ready to do it.
And I would imagine when you're playing teams like Milwaukee and Toronto that have nothing to gain, they're down in the standings, you try to jack yourself up a little bit and make sure you're ready for these ball clubs. It's just as important as if you were playing the Boston Red Sox.
Well, I mean, it's sometimes teams that go out and relax, or, you know, they're hard to beat. They got nothing to lose. And, you know, we're going out and trying to put an edge on to go out and win another game, and these guys are just trying to finish up the year. It can be tough. I mean, they've got guys that have put them in. They were in the race for a while because they played well, and you know, nobody's going to roll over for us. Guys are coming in here trying to break our hearts, and I just hope we continue to play well.
Paul, big night for the team defensively. Don Mattingly, a couple of super plays. Randy Velarde, you made a great running catch. If you make the postseason, most people say that the Yankees are the best defensive team of the lot. How much can you say that factors into the pride of the way this team plays each and every day, the defensive aspect of it?
Well, in big games, pitching usually takes over. I mean, the last 4 or 5 games, pitching's really been the key for us. And you know, pitching to hold pitchers to hold them down, you got to have good defense behind them. And for the most part this year, you know, we've played pretty solid defense, and it's a big part of the game. You know, it doesn't get a lot of recognition like, you know, the doubles and the home runs, but defense can save runs and keep you in the game.
Paul, just really quickly, you and Rob Dibble are not just acquaintances, right? You guys are good friends.
Yeah, I talked to him for the game, and I told Kitty before, I don't like hitting off guys I know that well, because you start guessing with him, and, you know, you think he's going to try to trick you, and now I hope I get another at bat, because I'm sure I'll hear about it in the offseason.
I could be wrong, but I think Buck will have you in the lineup tomorrow, right, Jim?
I think so.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Thanks a lot, Paul. 21st home run tonight, another RBI and a sac fly, and the Yankees win the game by a score of 5-4. We'll be back with Michael Kay's clubhouse report, the post-game report overall, but first, let's get an update from Bob Page.
Thanks, Al. Over the Meadowlands Arena tonight, Mike Peluso scored 4 minutes in overtime, and the defending Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils beat the Islanders by the score of 3-2. Big night in hockey. They closed Boston Garden. We'll have a look at these ceremonies, quite moving as they were, coming up in our full half-hour edition of the Sports Desk right after the Yankee post-game report. Also, we'll hear from former Bruins star Mike Milbury, now in his first year coaching the Islanders. He spoke with our Deb Kaufman earlier today. And the Rangers forward Stepan Matteau will miss the next 3 to 4 weeks of the season and the preseason. He is suffering from a broken hand. Don Nelson and the Knicks opened a mini-camp up at SUNY Purchase today. We'll hear from him and various team members once more in our half-hour show. Right now, we'll pause here for these messages. Gus Johnson has a look at all the baseball from tonight, coming up live on the Yankees post-game report. Right now, let's return to Milwaukee and rejoin Al Trautwig and Jim Kyle.
Well, the Yankees beat the Milwaukee Brewers in front of a crowd of just over 8,000, 5-4. They now lead the California Angels by a game and a half in the wild card race. 7 solid innings delivered by Sterling Hitchcock. The bullpen got in a bit of a jam in the 8th, but John Wetland to the rescue again for his 30th save. Coming up next, it's the postgame report. Gus Johnson will have the highlights and all the scores at the sports desk, and Michael Kay will be giving us his clubhouse report. That's in a matter of moments. Tomorrow we'll see you when David Cohn takes on another rookie, Brian Givens. Yankee Scorecard begins our coverage at 1:30. With Jim Cott, I'm Al Troutwig. Thanks for joining us for Yankees Baseball.
New York Yankees Baseball has been brought to you by your participating 7-Eleven store, where you can get a variety of deli essential salads, sandwiches, and more, freshly prepared and delivered daily. By Hertz. For business, for pleasure, nobody does it exactly like Hertz. By 9X Yellow Pages. More information, more solutions, more stuff. And by your Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
This is the Yankees post-game report as we welcome you back to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The Yankees scored 5 runs and needed each and every one of them. They were actually out-hit by the Milwaukee Brewers, but Sterling Hitchcock combined with John Wetland's great stuff to finish out the 8th and the 9th to get his 30th save, put the Yankees on the win column as they begin this 5-game road trip that closes out their 1995 season. And the Yankees post-game report is brought to you by your New York, New Jersey, and Fairfield County Buick dealers. For quality and value you can afford right now, see your Buick dealer today. Well, we've already heard from Paul O'Neill talking about his 21st home run of the season. That was a big part of the Yankee win tonight. And I can't comment enough on the contrast in emotions that the Yankees feel, and probably you, Yankee fans at home watching, literally on the edge of your couch, and how this came down to a 1-run game in the 9th inning, and the absolute opposite end of the spectrum in the atmosphere that only 8,000 created here tonight at County Stadium as their Brewers, once in the race, are playing out the string. This is the 2nd inning, a couple of big moments in the game. Derek Jeter got the start at shortstop because Buck Showalter wanted to protect the strongest part of his roster because Bernie Williams arrived late from San Juan, and all Jeter did with his one at-bat was deliver this run-scoring double that gave the Yankees their early 1-0 lead. And whether it was a run late or a run early, this was a 1-run victory. Bernie Williams made it in. The teammates said, "How's the baby?" Buck said, "Forget that. Get out in center field and let's finish out this game." And the Yankees had another night of very good postseason run defense. The left side of the Yankee infield lately has just been amazing. In the absence of Tony Fernandez, the Yankees have gone 7-1. Watch this play from Velarde deep in the hole. This is a long, long throw for a shortstop to make. The Yankees needed it because there was a home run in the inning. 2 runners were on. Sterling Hitchcock, the beneficiary on that play, as the Yankees win it by the score of 5-4. Michael Kay is emerging from the Yankees clubhouse. We'll hear what Buck Showalter had to say. But first, highlights of tonight's game and other scores with Gus Johnson.
Well, thank you, Al. The Yankees were trying to maintain their lead tonight as they started a 2-game series with Milwaukee. Sterling Hitchcock on the mound, and he continued to remain hot. He now wins 4 of his last 5 games as the Yankees score 3 runs in the 3rd inning, and they go on to beat the Brewers 5-4. Let's go back out to County Stadium, where your highlights are brought to you by Hyundai, cars that make sense. And George Steinbrenner was in attendance tonight watching his ball club. Bernie Williams misses his flight to Milwaukee, so Gerald Williams started in center field. Derek Jeter started at shortstop. Bottom of the 1st inning. Yankees playing good defense. Kevin Seitzer drops one down the line in right field. Don Mattingly with the nice over-the-shoulder grab for the out. Top of the 2nd, Derek Jeter makes a contribution. He drives one into the gap in right center field. Gerald Williams comes in to score, and New York takes a 1-0 lead. Bottom of the 2nd, Mattingly flashes some leather. The veteran spearing the hot smash off the bat of Joe Oliver and getting the unassisted putout. Top of the 3rd, Randy Velarde, who started in left field, drops one down the line in right field. The ball bounces past Matt Mieske, and that allows Wade Boggs to score, and Boggs chugging in. That made it 2-0 New York. The next batter, Paul O'Neill. He makes him pay. Takes a shot deep out of the yard in right center. New York goes up 4-0. Meanwhile, in the bottom of the third, Bernie Williams finally shows up, takes his place in center field. Gerald Williams moves to left, and that pays off for the Yankees as Williams robs Matt Matheny of a base hit with a diving grab. 8th inning, Yankees up 5-2, and they bring in their latest acquisition, Rick Honeycutt. He walks the only batter he faces, B.J. Surhoff. Later in the inning, Bob Wickman in with the bases loaded, nobody out. He gets Joe Oliver. They hit in the 4-6-3 double play. Kevin Seitzer scores. That makes it a 5-3 game. Your next batter, Dave Nielsen. Bounces one to Wade Boggs. Nielsen beats out the throw to first base. Surhoff scores. 5-4 New York still. Milwaukee's next batter, Jeff Cirillo, with the base hit to center field. Pitch runner Dwayne Singleton stops at third base, though. Bernie Williams out in the outfield. His arm not that strong. He could have tested it. Buck Showalter, well, he'd seen enough. Summons John Wetland in to put out the fire, and Wetland comes in and delivers. Strikes out David Hulse to end the inning. Then in the bottom of the 9th inning, Wetland, still in the ball game, closes it out by getting Kevin Seitzer to line out to Pat Kelly at second base, and that is your ball game. New York holds on to win it. They win it 5-4, the final score. Elsewhere in the wild card race, Seattle doing the Yankees a favor as they took on the California Angels today. 10-2, the final score. 3rd inning, Edgar Martinez delivers a base hit. Ken Griffey on second base, and he's hustling. Scores from second, and Angel starter Sean Bosky, well, he gets an early shower as the Mariners led it 3-0. Then in the 4th, they get 2 more. This rally capped off by Ken Griffey Jr.'s solo home run off one-time Yankee Rich Monteleone, and Jay Buhner hammers his 38th home run of the season, another solo shot. Buhner, the former Yankee, just hitting the ball like a ton this season. 38 for him. Tino Martinez added a 3-run double in the 6th inning to break it wide open. M's go on to win it 10-2, and Lou Piniella, he's got to be pretty pleased with the way his team has been playing.
These kids are playing good baseball, and this team has been focused. We really got hot at the right time, and we still got some work to do, though. We recognize that. We'll come out here and play hard against California again tomorrow.
In the American League, John Valentin hit a 3-run homer. Zane Smith won his first game since September 2nd as Boston beats Detroit. Meanwhile, Mike Mussina got his 3rd shutout of the year, became the first 18-game winner in the American League. Baltimore blanking Toronto. Chicago beats Kansas City 7-0 as Alex Fernandez pitched a 6th hitter. Indians trying to become the first team in Major League history to have a .700 winning percentage. They have to win their next 6 games. Only 6 games remaining in the season for them. And Cleveland, they lose to Minnesota 13-4. Oakland with 6 games to play. Texas is 3.5 games back. And right now they're leading in the 9th inning of play 7-5. In the National League, the Mets taking on the Cincinnati Reds, the champions in the Central Division. The game was called off due to rain and will be postponed and rescheduled as part of a doubleheader on Wednesday. Meanwhile, in the National League, plenty of games being played. Colorado leading Los Angeles. Colorado leads, L.A. leads Colorado by a half game in the West. Right now in the 5th inning, Colorado leading the game 2-1. Meanwhile, Houston, they beat Pittsburgh 2-0. Elsewhere in the National League, Montreal over Florida 5-1. Atlanta, John Smoltz and 3 relievers combined on the 3-hitter. They've won 4 of their last 5 as they get ready for the postseason, winning today 5-1. Chicago over St. Louis 3-2, and San Diego and San Francisco, the Padres leading it right now. The wild card race in the National League, Colorado, Los Angeles, obviously going at it for the top spot in the West. Colorado a half game in front of Houston for the wild card spot, with Chicago 4.5 games back with 6 games to play. Well, still to come, we'll go back out to Milwaukee for more on the Yankees win. But first, let's take a look at some of the guys that hit home runs today in the major leagues.
The Yankees beat the Milwaukee Brewers 5-4 tonight. Sterling Hitchcock was Sterling for 7 innings. Then the Yankees went to the bullpen. Brewers got 2 to make it very interesting in the 8th. But John Wetland came in, got the 3rd out, and his 30th save. Check this. Last 10 appearances, John Wetland's ERA 0.93. That's throwing some stuff. 1 home run tonight for the Yankees. It was Paul O'Neill's 21st of the season. A crushed shot to the right center field gap and beyond. Bea's stroke of brilliance, the 2-run home run that gave the Yankees a 4-0 lead. Welcome back. Al Trautwig joined by Michael Kay. Mike, I think we found out that the Milwaukee Brewers may be flat. They haven't been playing well, but they certainly made the Yankees as uncomfortable as they can be tonight.
Yeah, I think they made their last stand tonight. This is just a gut instinct because the people I've spoken to, they said they'd lost 6 of their last, or they won only 6 of their last 26, and they really had been flat doing it. Well, they weren't flat tonight. I have a feeling that tomorrow they might be flat against David Cone. They gave it a good run to the Yankees. Phil Garner managed as if it was the 7th game of the World Series. Give him some credit. But I think tomorrow the players, with an early game after a night game, they might come out flat.
A lot of teams look flat against David Cone, and there are a lot of good storylines here. But let's start off, first of all, with John Wetland. He's really just been great.
He has been great, and really, if you take out that one stretch in about August when he lost that first game of the doubleheader against the Indians, you take that stretch out and you can't. He really has had a magnificent year. His fastball went flat there. It lost about 4 or 5 miles an hour right in the beginning of August, middle of August, and that really helped the Yankees drop out of the pennant race as well, so you just can't discount that. But since then, you just gave the numbers over his last 10 outings. He really has been unhittable. His fastball is around 95, 96, has late finish to it, late life. And what a weapon to have if the Yankees can make the playoffs. All they really have to do is play an 8-inning game.
The 8th inning started with Mariano Rivera allowing a single. Then Rick Honeycutt made his Yankee debut, a walk. Bob Wickman came in, got in some trouble. 2 men were on, 2 runs were in. John Wetland stepped into the game and got David Hulse, the pinch hitter, to strike out. Here's how it went.
And it was a high fastball. Hulse could not lay off, and Hulse had fouled off a couple of those. And you knew Wetland was thinking, I don't want to get beat on my second best pitch, so I'll go with high cheese. And he got him with a great fastball upstairs.
And Mike just talked to John Wetland in the Yankee locker room a few minutes ago.
Is the pressure bigger, John, in these games because they mean so much more, or is there always pressure in the 9th inning?
It's always pressure, but I must admit that it's an awful lot of fun to throw with that kind of adrenaline rush, you know. It's just a lot of fun, especially the way we're playing ball. I mean, how can you not like coming to work and hopefully getting a shot at it?
Remember, closers are supposed to be quirky. Now, the other good storyline of this game was Bernie Williams missing his original flight in Puerto Rico. Thought it was 10:30. It wasn't Bernie. It was 10:05, and so he wound up with a 4th stopper on his way to Milwaukee tonight. And that meant Bunk had to play around with his batting order a little bit.
What he did was, it was either one of 2 choices. Either go with Ruben Rivera in the outfield or Derek Jeter at shortstop, because he knew whoever he put in would come right out of the game when Bernie finally got to the ballpark. So he decided to go with Jeter, and boy, did that work out.
Yeah, it really did. Derek wound up getting just 1 at-bat, but it came at a perfect time because it was a scoreless game when he stepped to the plate.
He stepped to the plate. First pitch he saw, he drove it into right center field and got a huge double. And the Yankees lucked out a little because it bounced and didn't go over the fence. It hit against the fence, and that allowed Gerald Williams to score from first. But they don't get any bigger than that. Now he is part of Yankee lore if they end up winning this.
That's right. As I said a few minutes ago, 1-run game, it doesn't matter whether you knock in the 1st run or the 5th run. The Yankees needed it all the same. Here's how it looked. But this is back in the 2nd inning.
I asked him what he was thinking in this at-bat. He said, hit. I wanted to swing the bat. And he said, I hadn't been hitting much. You know, obviously just working early with Rick Down, with all the rookies coming early, and Rick Down gives them the time off the tee and in the batting cage. And the first fastball he saw was the first pitch he saw. He just went the other way. You know what's a little bit strange about this, Al, is that people really shouldn't be shocked. This guy is the goods. This guy's going to be the Yankee shortstop for the next 12, 15 years. He's that great, and he's just sitting here waiting and biding his time. So it's not like, you know, Brian Doyle just stepped in and hit 400 in the World Series. This is not a dream shot. This guy's going to have a lot more hits like that for the Yankees in his career.
How'd you like to see a Yankee shortstop with opposite field power like that? Well, here's what Michael Kay's conversation with him sounded like.
When you saw your name in the lineup in a game of this magnitude, were you a little bit nervous?
Not really. I think more so anxious. I mean, Buck told me before the game that I might start because Bernie had missed his flight. So, you know, I was a little anxious. I hadn't played in a while, so I was hoping just to contribute any way I could.
When you got the double, what'd you think?
I mean, it's been a long time since I got a hit, so, you know, I was just happy. you know, to help out the team and, you know, hopefully get us going in the right direction.
Honestly, after you get the double, right, and you get this big hit, were you hoping Bernie didn't show up for a while?
I was hoping for one more at bat, but, I mean, you know, Bernie's probably the most valuable player on this team right now. So, I mean, you know, he needs to be in there, and it's good to get him back.
Has it been?
Derek Jeter talking about his double that scored the first run of this game as the Yankees win 5-4. When we come back on the Yankees post-game report, George Steinbrenner lets us in on how he felt about Bob Wickman's performance tonight. 5-4 was the final score. Stay with us. This is MSG. Back at County Stadium, few final thoughts before we go. Just for the record, it was Sterling Hitchcock notching his 10th. He's into double digits. John Wetland with his 30th save. Now, Don Mattingly's been doing a good job of hitting lately, so he wants to go out with a bang. However, the Yankees were flashing some leather all over the field tonight.
He was flashing incredible leather, especially early in the game. He made a play on Seitzer, I believe. This play right here, this is the second batter of the first inning, and he's going down the line. He makes an incredible play, and I spoke to Hitchcock about it. He said, Don Mattingly is better than Jerry Rice. And then he flashes more leather over there on the short hop, another big play, and he made another play over the shoulder in foul territory a little bit later in the game. And you wonder why the Yankees keep this guy in the lineup when he's not hitting. Here's that play right here. Nobody thought it would get it because of the fact it wasn't that high, and he just makes it routinely. Pat Kelly and Don Mattingly cover more ground in right field than any right side of the infield in the American League. I can't say the National League. I don't see enough games, but those two are incredible going back on the ball.
So you love the wild card now, right?
That's exciting for the fans.
Oh, come on.
Well, it's fun that the Yankees are in it, absolutely, but you don't want contrived excitement.
It's not contrived excitement. They still have a chance to win the World Championship.
So you would say that if you were the announcer for the Minnesota Twins, if they let everybody in and let them just have a mass playoff, you'd be happy with it?
I don't think that's what we're talking about here.
Well, I mean, one wild card will extrapolate into
forget it.
Forgotten.
Eighth inning. Did you see this replay? This is sort of interesting. Bob Wickman got hit around pretty good. Actually came within a stride of getting a ground ball that would have gotten him out of the inning. But then this happened. A hot shot over the glove of Pat Kelly, who just misses it. Wickman then ran behind home plate to cover the plate because the Brewers would score a run on the play. Two runners were on. And when this play unfolded, George Steinbrenner was looking on from behind home plate. And Wickman will go by. Watch this. He's going to cover home plate. And then George sort of looks at him and goes, ah.
Now, you know, they were asking him, do you like the wild card? That was his reaction.
Oh, is that what that was?
That's what that was.
Thanks for clearing that up,
Sure,
Mike.
Nobody knows that. See, they think he's doing it to Wickman. It was simply a statement about the wild card.
There you have it. That clears it all up. Yankees' magic number is now 4.
Any combination of Yankee wins and Angel losses adding up to 4, and the Yankees go to their first postseason since 1981.
So the Yankees are in a position where they could clinch on Friday with Thursday off. California plays every day, so tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, if the Angels lost all their games and the Yankees won on Friday, they're in.
That's the way it looks, and the way the Angels are playing, it's eminently doable.
It's eminently doable. With rivulets of sweat forming on his forehead. Michael Kay has summed it all up for us. Well, that'll do it from County Stadium in Milwaukee tonight. 5-4 was the final score. Sterling Hitchcock gets the win. Carl the loss. The rookie pitcher goes down. Another rookie pitcher tomorrow going against the Yankees. Bernie finally showed up, missed his flight, took 3 others, and finally made it here to Milwaukee. But in his stead, Derek Jeter helped score a run with an RBI double. We'll see you tomorrow. Rookie Brian Gibbons goes for the Milwaukee Brewers. It's David Cohn for the Yankees. AT&T Yankees scorecard begins our coverage at 1:30 on the East Coast. Coming up next, Bob Page with a full report from the MSG sports desk. The producer of Yankees baseball is Leon Schweier. Our director is Bill Webb. Associate producer Eddie Caginelli. Our associate director is Mike Santini. The executive producer of MSG Network is Mike McCarthy. David Cohn back tomorrow. This is Al Troutwig for Jim Cott and Michael Kay saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon on MSG. More looks on the game. The 21st home run of Paul O'Neill meant high fists in the dugout. That was way out of County Stadium, giving the Yankees a 4-0 lead. Gerald Williams, speaking of defense, a lot of it tonight. Randy Velarde, Don Mattingly with 3 sparklers, and that one by Gerald Williams. John Wetland gets the 3rd out of the 8th inning to leave 2 runners stranded. The potential go-ahead runs were on base. And then closed out the 9th inning, 1-2-3. John Wetland and the Yankees are now just 4 games away from the end of the season. Does the postseason await?
Boston said goodbye to the Garden tonight in very moving ceremonies sandwiched around the Bruins' 3-0 exhibition shutout of, how fitting was this, the Montreal Canadiens, their old rivals. The Garden was officially closed. It'll be torn down soon as both the Bruins and the Celtics move into the brand-new Shawmut Center next door. At the start of the game, Bruins captain Ray Bourque faced off with Habs captain Mike Keane as Harry Sinden and Canadiens general manager Serge Savard dropped ceremonial pucks. To keep the game short and concentrate on the nostalgia, they played 2 25-minute halves rather than 3 periods. All the scoring came in the second half after New Yorker Joey Mullen opened the scoring with his new team. How fitting again that current Bruins legend Ray Bourque should get the second goal, beating old rival Patrick Roy. Don Sweeney added the final goal, then the emotions came down in torrents as so many greats from the Bruins past came out to the ice.
The best years of my life was in Boston, to tell you the truth. Also, the greatest thrill of my life was when Mr. Bourque gave me a nice sweater.
After Bobby Orr spoke briefly to the crowd, all the legends began a final skate around the ice. How moving it was to see Normand Levay, paralyzed in an accident some years ago, I think you recall, helped around the ice by Bourque and their teammates. Not many dry eyes in Boston at the Garden tonight. Blaine Locker had the shutout in the exhibition game for the Bruins. Meanwhile, Rangers forward Stefan Matteau will be lost to the team for the next 3 to 4 weeks. He is suffering from a broken hand. The Islanders have been doing plenty of suffering during training camp and the exhibition campaign so far. New coach Mike Milbury, the former Boston star, coaches just the way he plays, in very hard-nosed, disciplined fashion. He commented today during an interview with MSG's Deb Kaufman.
I was intense in Boston, and I think they did make a big deal about it. There were, if you check with some of the people there, there were some who did some pretty wacky things. But that's part of the fun of being a coach, is to take your guys in the middle of the playoffs to a dumpy little motel in the middle of nowhere to give them a little bit of a wake-up call, or to, you know, do something that they're not expecting to keep them a little bit just alert, paying attention. And I am intense, and I want the team to be intense. And I'm going to be very involved with this club in particular. It's much younger. It needs a lot more, I think, direction. And, you know, the thing that gets attention about my style sometimes is when I do allow myself to be expressive in some ways. But there's another part of me that does a lot of very conventional coaching and talking and explaining, and we're going over things. But, you know, I let myself loose with it, and I think the guys understand that, and I think they respond to my intensity.
More than an interview on Rangers game night Thursday as we bring you the Rangers-Islanders exhibition game live from the Garden right here on Madison Square Garden Network. At the Meadowlands Arena tonight, the Islanders lost to the Devils 3-2 in overtime on a goal by Mike Peluso. Also among the regional teams, Hartford blanked Ottawa 3-0. Sean Burke made 40 saves. Washington lost to Buffalo 3-1. Andre Trefilov 43 saves. And the Flyers lost at Pittsburgh 2-1. Mario Lemieux got both of the Penguins' goals. Eric Lindros, the Flyers. Baseball next.